Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the DTM Esports Championship 2022. We have had two incredible qualifying days merely last month and the month before, and we also had 26 drivers qualify from that point, and also joining them are three wild cards that were taking place at the Nürburgring itself a couple of months ago as well. But now this is where it indeed comes down to. This is where they earn the points and the prizes. My name's Luke Crane, and I'm joined by Connery Maddock. Connery, how are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, I'm feeling incredibly excited. We've got a fantastic track to start off at Imola. Tensions are, of course, high in amongst the drivers. They don't know how this season is going to go from this point forwards. For them, it's all about getting off on the right foot. They can't afford to have a poor performance today, lest that carry on throughout the season. But I'm certainly looking forward to it, Rook.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, this is going to be super, super exciting. Again, it's 26 drivers, 26 of the very fastest drivers on Race Room will be battling it out here on Imola with three added drivers, again, who qualified via the wildcards. We'll explain exactly who they are once we get out onto the track. But let's check out then the format for today's broadcast, which is going to be very exciting indeed for us all. So as you can see here, it is free practice has already started, so you guys don't need to be seeing that really. The stream start, well, we're started. You can hear me. We're live. That is how it is. We then will indeed have qualifying one, which is 10 minutes long. So it is as simple as the best time starts at the front, the worst time starts at the back. It is simple as that. Then we have our first race, which is a sprint race, 15 minutes, almost like a little warm-up really. Although for the drivers, it means a hell of a lot. It's big points in the offering. Then we've got qualifying number 2, which is again 10 minutes, which is very difficult for these drivers to get their lap times in, considering there is going to be 29 of them out there on circuit at the same time. And then we have our final race of the broadcast. Is a 1 hour race akin to DTM itself. Their races are 1 hour long, with an endurance race there, 60 minutes, which is going to be super, super exciting. And we are using the DTM 2021 cars, which indeed is super exciting. New cars to see, lots of new liveries as well from the teams, and well, it is going to be an incredible day's racing. Let's check out then the calendar for this season. So today we're at Imola. We've got 2 races at Imola. Then we head to the Norris Ring, which is an absolute treat in itself, on the 24th of March. Then on the 7th of April, we head to the Lausitz Ring. And then we head to Spa-Francorchamps on the 10th of April. Then it's the Red Bull Ring on the 21st of April. And, well, ironically, it's the start of the DTM Championship, Portimao in real life, but it's going to be the end of the DTM Esports Championship on the 28th of April. Again, the format will be the same each and every week, a 15-minute timed race and then a 60-minute timed race, earning super, super amounts of points. Let's check out then the drivers. That's what we're here for. We want to see these drivers. And, well, you can now pick your favourite and cheer on who indeed you want to. We can see there for Arnage competition, we got Pinches, Ottaviani for RHG Esports, Dorniden then for Telerig Esports. We've then got Dinya again for the same esports team there as Dorniden, both in a different car though, a BMW and a Ferrari represented. We've got Vermeulen then for Virtual Drivers by TX3, Hugveld for RHG Esports, Nagy for Mirror Esports, Florian Hasser for Dur Esports, Fiducci then for Team Fordilla. We've then got Isaac Price, who is a privateer, which is something we haven't seen really before from Isaac. We saw it in the qualifiers, but I mean, like, he's always been a part of big teams. It doesn't matter whether he's got that support from a big team or he's just on his own. He still manages to get to these parts of the competition. We've got Keith Lee as well from Williams Esports. We've got Kevin Siggy for Team Redline, Rudinger for Arnage competition, 3 Arnage drivers on the grid. We've then got Kripner for Dirt Esports, Whitford for Balash Esports, Vanna for SRC Movano Corsa. We've then got Rodriguez then, who is driving for Topes de Gama Racing Team. Gassner for the same team as Dorniden and Dinya. So they've got 3 as it stands, 4, maybe 5. They've got 6 drivers actually. Wow, 6. That's the most represented team for sure. We've got Pajic then for Veloce Esports. We've got Markovic. We've got Pfeiffer, Raschel for Dur Esports, Moritz Lerner, who is our current champion for Dur Esports. We've then got Pliska for Team Fordzilla, Pringer, a second privateer, and then we've got Yarshul as your final qualified driver via our qualifying days. And then the 3 wildcards then. We have got Alex Mosin, we've got Florian Bodin, and we've got Julien Fox. They will be in the MediaMarkt cars, sponsored, of course, by MediaMarkt, which is incredible to give them that opportunity. But 29 drivers there, Connery. Have you got a couple there that really spring out to you that could potentially go out there and become our champion of 2022?
Well, so far in 2022, I mentioned this to you actually before the broadcast, but what I want to keep an eye on is Christopher Hergfeld. Of course, I bigged him up during the shootouts as well, if I remember correctly, in the DTM Championship. But since then, he has gone from strength to strength in other esports competitions here on Race Room. So I expect him in that RHG Esports car to be at the top of the field fighting. But of course, you cannot count out our regulars as far as the top of the order in Race Room are concerned. Your Moritz Lohners, your Marco Pejics, drivers like that. They're always going to be up there fighting. But potentially it might be a driver coming in and upsetting the status quo somewhat. I wonder if how well the wildcard drivers will do in this one as well, taking part in this competition.
Yeah, absolutely. They are still well-known races in the world of sim racing. There's no real still surprises from the wild cards. It's not like they've come out of absolutely nowhere. They've got some serious talent, that is for sure. The difference is 15-minute timed race, of course, is going to be frantic. People are going to be jostling for position. Qualifying is absolutely key. And then we've got the 60-minute race where they do have to do a mandatory pit stop and they have to change their tyres. Fuel, they can start the race with full fuel. They could go with a lighter tank and try and get some decent track position and maybe add some fuel during qualifying. So there is a bit of strategy in that. What are the big differences going to be in terms of the two races, Connery?
Well, of course, that 15-minute sprint race, there's not a lot of time to get anything done throughout that sprint race. So you're going to be seeing drivers go pedal to the metal, trying to harass drivers for every single position possible. It's going to be fast, it's going to be frenetic, and there might be a couple of instants. But once we get to that endurance race, things will just sort of likely temper down a little bit. Drivers in that first stint will just get themselves into a rhythm. They want to be thinking ahead. They want to be thinking ahead to that one and only pit stop where they have to change their tires, they have to get fuel to the end and see what they can work out with regards to the strategy there. So it's going to be two completely different kind of races here today.
Yeah, 100%. We are at Imola, which again is one of the most famed circuits in the whole of Europe, maybe even in the world. One of my favourite circuits. I'm actually going there this year with DTM, which is going to be absolute fun. And well, let's have a little track guide here from DTM champion in 2011 and one of the most beautiful men in the history of motorsport, Martin Tomczyk.
Hi guys, and welcome to the DTM Esports Championship 2022. My name is Martin Tomczyk and we are facing tonight the season opener in Imola. The DTM Esports Championship is one of the 5 pillars of the DTM platform. Over 20,000 esports cracks tried to get into the championship in the preseason. Now we have 31 participants. And now it's my turn to try it out. So welcome to Imola circuit, 4.9 kilometers, 17 corners, and now we are heading down the long start and finish straight. Actually it's the longest straight on the circuit and best possibility to overtake into the hard braking zone for corner number 1. Top speed around about 270. So hard braking down, 3rd gear. Always good to cut curbs into the quick left-hander, flat-out left-hander, into the next S corner. Very quick entry, but a very slow exit. You have to take care to get the exit right here. Then going into the first hairpin, very good place to overtake, but here it's very important to get the right exit, to get a great top speed over the quick right-hander. So this left-hander, you have to take care here, stay within 2. So here very difficult to break into the corner, you can easily lose the rear. Now we're coming to the slowest part of the track, the tight chicane. Good to cut here. The curbs, you have to get the right exit without wheel spinning too much. Already coming to the last part of the racetrack. It's very tricky here, the braking point, because it's downhill braking, and these last 2 corners are very important to get the right exit for the start and finish straight again. Okay guys, now this was my lap. I'm looking forward for your laps at the season opener of the DTM Esports Championship. I keep my fingers crossed for all of you. Have a great battle out there. Be fair, be hard, and enjoy your first race.
Great to see a lap there from and I hate this term, former DTM champion. It's almost like as soon as somebody else wins it, their championship gets taken away from them. It's always going to be a DTM champion, Martin Tomczyk there, and you see he was genuinely enjoying himself there in the sim. And well, he was in a Ferrari. He was in Alex Albonno himself, as I had to deal with in the chat every single time I commentated last year. And well, we are very happy to announce that the DTM 2021 cars will be out on Race Room tomorrow, including the Ferraris as well. I know everybody's super excited about the Ferraris, so that is coming to Race Room tomorrow. Oh boy, I cannot wait to be looking at those cars. It's going to be great stuff. And well, it's exciting for us, Connor, isn't it? Because for me personally, I get bored of looking at the same cars over and over again. So to see new cars in an esports championship makes me very excited as a commentator.
Yeah, it's just another option. Of course, you know, it's sometimes quite difficult to get Ferraris in some sims. I'm glad that Race Room have been able to sign on the dotted line, so to speak, and Ferrari to get their cars involved in this sim. And, well, it seems to be a relatively popular choice for this championship. I'm just having a look up and down the order right now. Yes, we got a smattering of BMWs, we got an Audi involved, we got a Porsche and lots of Mercedes, but it seems like a good, well, just shy of half the field are all Ferraris at the moment, so it seems like a popular machine.
Yeah, well, of course, it's the same as every sim out there, right? They bring a new car into the game, they make it overpowered so everyone buys it. Come on, you know how it works, Connery. But no, it's a new car. Everyone's really excited to do that. So yeah, they absolutely are going to decide to pick the Ferrari. It makes sense that that's the newest car in the game. You know, they're going to be excited to choose it. Well, so that's new. Something that isn't new is Kevin Siggy. Kevin Siggy is pole position in the early stages here. Looking at the grid, I'm pretty worried for Moritz Lerner, if I'm honest. I think Moritz Lerner's got his work cut out if he wants to become a two-time DTM Esports champion. But as it stands, he's come out swinging here because he's second position in the BMW. So two names that we're used to seeing at the front end. We've got Kripner then in P3. Markovic then, the Montenegrin driver, is in fourth. And then we've got privateer Isaac Price. When there's an esports competition, there's an Isaac Price always lurking somewhere. But as you can see, it's Kevin Siggy, isn't it? He's always in and amongst it.
Yeah, he is top of the order in qualifying at the moment, is the driver from Slovenia. We are on board, though, with Moritz Lerner, of course, previous DTM Esports champion. And I just got to say, ever since getting that championship win, Moritz Lerner has gone from strength to strength, not only in the sim racing side of things as well, but, of course, in the real world as well. He's certainly making his mark, and he's, well, causing teams and other drivers to really take notice of him and to take the whole sim racing business seriously, because it can translate into performances on track as he heads his way across the line. Not good enough this time to get himself up into pole position, still 2/10 off, but Moritz Lerner is, I feel, a good ambassador for sim racing.
Yeah, 100%. I get the privilege to work alongside him with DTM myself, and he's a lovely chap. He really is a lovely chap. As Kripner goes up to P2 here, so that's a bit of a surprise there that Kripner has made it up there. He is in second position with Lerner just in behind, but again, a full tenth of a second in this kind of field. Siggy is really showing his skill set. But yeah, last season, Lerner, he managed to get himself a test in DTM Trophy via winning the DTM Esports Championship in 2019? All the years now are just merging into one for me personally, with what's going on currently in the world. So yeah, he managed to get himself a test. He performed exceptionally well in the test. They gave him the first week MediaMarkt themselves. They gave him the first week at Monza for this last season in the DTM Trophy, and he did exceptionally well. Got himself a couple of top tens, and well, then he got given the full season with FK Performance Motorsport, and just did not look out of place at all. So it's been really good to see his journey. But not just that, he's just every single competition he touches, he's right up in and amongst it as one of the top drivers. He actually won Division 1 on iRacing in the Porsche Cup, by the way. He got a certificate today from season 1, so like he's even transferring it over to a different game, which is very, very difficult to do, especially with that car specifically. So yeah, he is an incredibly talented driver. And Jack Keithley, by the way, someone else who's very who came second actually to Lerner. He's P4, so it doesn't matter whether you add someone like Siggy or Kripner into the Fold, those two still tend to be right up in and amongst it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Pretty much every single Race Room Esports race, and even off Race Room as well. In the case of Siggy, he's always up there and challenging for the top couple of spots. So seeing Krypton head his way across the line now, again, not going to quite be good enough to improve here in this situation. Siggy, definitely the time to beat at the moment, and look at where he is. He's just sitting there down on pit lane. That seems to be a lot of confidence coming out from Kevin Siggy. He doesn't feel the need to get back out there. He doesn't think he's going to be challenged.
Yeah, but he's got that kind of confidence, that kind of swagger. I was actually commentating on him last night in the VCO ERL Spring Cup, and it was on ACC, so a game that he's not really that comfortable on. Still went out there and got a race victory during the day, and he was someone that was getting faster and faster as the day went on as well. Like, this guy is an absolute specialist on everything that he turns his hand to, and what a way to kick things off if he was to go out there and potentially get a pole position. But I tell you what, Moritz Lerner is a full 1/10 of a second up. You can see S1 there is purple. That means that he is indeed going faster as Ottaviani moves up into P4 here. He will get another opportunity. We've only got a couple of corners to go. We head then down in towards that final double left-hander. Is there going to be the potential for him to make up some positions? Through Ravazza, we will indeed come, using all of the curb on the exit here. Well, you've got to just get on that power as early as possible, but just do not run into that gravel. It will lose you so much time. I think he's lost a bit of time here, in all fairness. He is going to go faster. Is it going to be enough for pole? I don't think so. Is it enough for a front row start, though? It could potentially be. Across the line he goes. It is not good enough. So he gains 0.06 of a second, and he does not have time to finish this next lap. So he is done for here. Anybody that crosses the line now are done. And you may think that's a little bit odd. Basically, as soon as it hits 0 on Race Room, the qualifying is over. So you have to make sure you finish your lap time before that indeed finishes there. Keithley was up on his time, I think. We've got Florian Hasser, who's currently in P6 here, Connery. 4/10 off the pace, and well, going very, very quickly through sector number 1. A full 10th up on Siggy's time.
Yeah, and well, as long as Hasser can link up a second and third sector here, Siggy might not be as safe as he thinks. We'll see what the sector time is for sector 2. It's not purple, but it is a personal best there for Florian Hasser, so there's still something in this lap as he heads his way on this little run down the hill in towards the Ravazzas. The results will show a little early here. We have to wait for confirmation. But either way, Siggy pole position for the moment, as we get a sneak peek of page 2 already.
Yeah, Vermeulen's popped up into the top 5, I think. I think there's I think also Fiducci. So I think Fiducci and Vermeulen have both just put themselves up into the top 5, or top 6, should I say. We're waiting for it now. Vermeulen, yep. Fiducci did, but look at this. Hookveld, your tip today is up to P6 as it stands. But I tell you what, it is Kevin Siggy who just is out there trying to win absolutely everything he possibly can, but he has got Moritz Lerner merely a couple of positions behind. He will want to defend this championship with his absolute life there. But, well, that's all the 29 drivers as it stands. Looks like Florian Bodin just didn't get a lap time in effectively. Manu Rodriguez as well, doesn't look like he got a lap time in. He's the sole Porsche on the grid. But it's Siggy, Krippner, Lerner, Ottaviani, Isaac Price, Vermeulen, Hookveld, Fiducci, Keithley, and Petr Pliska as your top 10. What a top 10 that is, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely incredible, and well, some of the top names on Race Room all up there. Potentially going to go wheel to wheel in this first race, of course. It's only going to be 15 minutes long, so it's going to end basically just as it starts. Hopefully, we can have a good fight of it. I'm just having a look at those drivers that were invited in via the wild card. Alex Moysen was actually the driver that qualified the furthest up the field of those 3 drivers. He starts P22nd. Then we have Julian Fox starting in P26th, and then Florian Bodin, unfortunately, will have to start at the very back of the grid here today in P29. So those are your wildcard drivers. Of course, not entirely expected to do very well, but it's good that they're competitive and can try and make some impact in the mid-pack. And who knows how this race might go. There might be a huge issue at the very front of the field that allows some unlikely names to go through.
Yeah, it's 29 cars on the grid here. If there isn't an issue, then they're not trying hard enough. I'm sure we're going to see some sort of carnage, especially with the big choke point being a chicane through turns 1, 2, and 3 after a massive run down in towards it. So, yeah, I would imagine there's going to be something here. If you can keep your nose clean in a race like this, you're going to gain positions regardless. That is as simple as I could put it. And yeah, just pick your opportunity. Do not get involved in anything, and you should be golden. But it's a 15-minute race, Connery. This is, if you've not qualified well here, you're in a bit of trouble, right? If you're in an hour-long race, you can probably work your way through if you've got an amazing talent around this circuit. But in a 15-minute race, if you are right at the back, it becomes very, very difficult to grab any big points.
Yeah, it does, and there's not too many rounds in this season. Usually in sim racing, we talk about 12-round seasons, 15-round seasons. There's only going to be 6 rounds of this championship, so you don't have a lot of races where you can have a bad one, so to speak. The season requires a lot of commitment from the very get-go. You can't afford to have a slow start here in this one. Otherwise, you'll be always scrapping for points towards those latter rounds of the season on the back foot. So, yeah, this race is so important at Imola, and it's a circuit, such a historic circuit as well to get things started off on. I certainly love it as a track. Of course, it's gone through some quite major changes over the decades. Of course, the most significant of which was when in 1994 Ayrton Senna unfortunately lost his life at Tamburello. Of course, it caused the whole situation where they had to reprofile the chicanes, both at Tamburello and, of course, Villeneuve as well. And but still, the track in its current state is still very, very fun indeed, especially in that middle sector, Luke, where you come down the hill here and then get yourself into Acqua Minerale. It's always a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the sort of position on the circuit where if you're behind, you just got to try and offset somebody. Maybe just get your nose up on the inside because you're just leaning on the weight transfer of the car so much there. So, and if you force a driver to be on the power maybe a little bit too early, they can easily lose the rear and spin out. So, yeah, as much as it's not really an overtaking opportunity through that part of the circuit, if you can put enough pressure on, you can force a mistake and ultimately gain a spot. We've already allocated some points here. So qualifying it is indeed 3 points for P1, which was Kevin Siggy. Second position was Kryptonite for DTM Esports. He's going to pick up 2 points, and then Moritz Lerner is going to pick up 1 point for finishing in third position. In the race, then, this is how the points are broken down. We've got 40 points then for P1, 34 for P2, 30 for P3, 27 for P4. It's 24 for P5, 22 for P6. 7th position is 20 points, then it's 18 for 8th. 9th, then it's 16 points. In the top 10, you get 14. If you get 11th position, you get 12. If you get 12th position, you get 10. Then it's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4. And then you've got 3, 2, and 1. So it goes down to P21. And with 29 drivers here, 8 are not going to get points. But it just goes to show that if you do start from the back, and indeed you do keep it clean, there is a big chance that you will end up getting into those points paying positions because, well, 21 drivers get them.
I do like the wider points format like that. Of course, there are some series where the points are more restrictive. It's only the top 10, for example, following along with Formula 1 in the real world. But I think extending the points down to those more minor positions actually causes the racing back there to be a little bit better because sometimes you might find some drivers realize, they're out of the points, so therefore these positions really don't matter. The racing side by side with someone, they're just going to try and have a little bit of fun and try and play some shenanigans, so what. But if there are points on the cards for those drivers lower down, then maybe they'll be able to take things a little bit more seriously and we can have a bit of a better race back there than we would otherwise. And of course, it keeps their interest in this season as well.
100% right. Salvo Popovic is supporting MediaMarkt for the win. So I'm keeping an eye on the YouTube chat here, ladies and gentlemen. Who are you predicting to get the win? So I want to see your favourite driver. Who do you think is going to go out there and get the dub? We're on board here with Markovic. Nice bit of camera time here for the Montenegrese, it's hard to say that, driver. There's Julien Fox then. As you can see in that MediaMarkt car, the title sponsor. Good to see them indeed continuing to support the DTM franchise. So we've got someone very excited in the chat about Ferrari being in race room. Rapid Man, fire. There you go. Yes, it's here and it's out tomorrow. So you can go and get it on race room tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a good time indeed. Just 9 seconds to go, and then they've got 60 seconds to line up. Again, get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think is going to go and do well? Who do you think is going to go out and win this race? It's only race number 1, remember. We've got 2 races tonight, 15-minute race and a 60-minute race as well. The points are the same for both races, so interesting to say the very least. Give me a prediction then. Who's winning this race?
It's going to be very, very difficult to tell. I think Lona, in particular, he's had a pretty, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, he's had a pretty poor start to his 2022 race room career for this season. So he definitely wants to be making an impact here. Starting P3, second row, fantastic place to start. Let's see the previous DTM champion get back to the top. Why not?
Okay, yeah, well, it's a pretty safe bet that he's going to be in and amongst it, or there or thereabouts. That's for sure. I think it's going to be a nice dynamic that we're going to be watching Ferrari versus BMW at the start of this race. And also, they're locked in now. Once they've chosen their car for this race, ladies and gentlemen, cars, that is it. They are stuck with that car for the rest of the championship. So with the BOP, there's going to be cars that are faster at certain circuits than others. Moritz Lerner from Lewis Pop. Kevin Siggy's going to do well from Brett Metcalf. Miguel Amarin is just talking about more cars. You can't keep everyone happy here. Just more cars, more cars, more cars. Naboja is supporting Markovic. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get underway here, waiting for those red lights to appear at the top of your screen. And then we will get, well, we are going here as we've got a rolling start. So we will go round the first lap. And then it goes into a rolling start, as you have in the DTM as well. And should give us around about 15 minutes of racing here. So it will be Siggy that takes them away. Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? You know, we get this whole lap here to build up the tension, get excited. Anyone else? Moritz, who else? No one else? No one else is going to be giving us predictions as to who they think is going to do well. How important is it going to be that there are two DTM Esports drivers behind Kevin Siggy here? They're going to be able to work together. Is it a case of Lerner? I know it's really early in the championship and we're already talking about potential tactics, but is there a case for that number one car to help his teammate out here? And if he's not able to make an overtake, slow the rest of the pack down just to guarantee some good points for his team? Or is it a case of they're just going to go out, you know, hell for leather and get it done?
Look, it's always helpful to have a teammate in any race, let alone near you in any given race. So Krippner and Lohner, they have a lot of options here. Maybe not when it comes to the sprint race, but of course when it comes to the actual endurance race a little bit later on, they can try some interesting things with regards to strategy. Keep one car out just to keep applying the pressure when one car comes down in and tries to get an undercut. You can do it the other way around as well. So for DTM Esports, having those two cars up there is a huge advantage compared to Kevin Siggy, who's basically all alone and has to be looking in his wing mirrors all the time. But these guys continuing on single file. At some point here in Sector 3, they'll get themselves double file for our start. And of course, there is a restart zone that these drivers will have to pay attention to as well. So you can't be getting yourself a penalty in the first 2 seconds of the race.
No, absolutely not. So you've got to, you know, take care of this situation. Make sure you get off the line well, but not too well. Don't give yourself, you know, an uphill battle for the rest of this race. So here we are then, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the sprint race. We've got the endurance race to come up for you a little bit later in the broadcast, but this is around about 15-minute racing here. Siggy will take us away in pole position. Krippner is in second, and then we've got Lerner and Ottaviani as your second row of the grid. And well, let me know, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat right now where you're watching from around the world. I want to see where you are watching from. We saw, well, someone put in the chat earlier on that they're watching from Brazil. So where else are we watching from around the world then? Here we go then, 15 minutes, 30 seconds, around about 15 minutes of racing here for our sprint race. It is Siggy that will take us away here at Imola. It is the DTM Esports 2022 race number 1. There are 12 in total, and who is going to set their stall here? And Siggy gets them away as they cross the line. And I tell you what, it's a phenomenal start here from Ottaviani, the DTM Esports team. We're in a little bit of trouble here as Lerner's actually up to P2 from P3. Krippner's going to drop back here, and can that BMW make a charge around the outside here of the Ferrari? Gets the overlap, not quite going to work out here. Ottaviani then trying to hold on to P3, not able to do so. As they come through the first chicane, then the BMWs have indeed held onto the positions, but they swapped over. Look at the speed in the straight line of that BMW of Moritz Lerner. Kevin Siggy holds on to keep the lead.
Yeah, Siggy was very much challenged there into turn number 1 and in towards Tosa, the hairpin coming up the hill. He'll have to try and defend again as Lerner tries to go the long way around, but cold tires here at the start of the race. He doesn't get the grip on the outside required to maintain the overlap all the way up the hill. So Siggy lives to fight another day. You pointed out the great start from Ottaviani. Didn't quite capitalize that on much than he would hoped. So he had a big run on the front row, but kind of got stalled out a little bit here at the very start of lap number 1 into Acque Minerale for the first time. vast majority of the field single file, as Ottaviani gets a very good run off the corner. He might be able to make something happen into Variante Alta. No, he's just going to stay in line for now.
Yeah, it's really good for the front two. It means they've been able to drive away ever so slightly here. Siggy now a half a second advantage here over Lerner, and Lerner still in that slipstream, and we've just seen that the BMW in a straight line is absolutely lightning, but through sector number 2, the more technical sector of Imola, really the Ferrari is a much stronger package all around. Let's get on board with the front two here then, and let's see whether Lerner can indeed close up to him. Look how close they are. Here we go then, across the start-finish line. Oh, a lovely bit of onboard here. You can see the gap is visibly closing down. The BMW's got a head of a steam here, down and towards turn number 1. Siggy will hold that inside line here. Lerner may be going for a fake. He's not going to be able to. He's got that side-by-side, a little bit of an overlap again. Siggy runs a little bit wide though, and the pressure really is on. Lerner is on the inside, not quite going to be able to make that move. And I tell you what, Siggy is all over the place right now. Again, it's a 15-minute race. You know, you've got to keep holding your position. You've got to defend from the front. You've got to really attack your defensive moves. I think in an hour-long race, you've got to be a little bit more placid, but he's doing the job he needs to do here to get maximum points.
Yeah, great defense there from Siggy. He knows now, he probably even knew before the race with all the preparation as well, that BMWs are absolute weapons in a straight line. However, the benefit of the Ferrari seems to be through the corners. You saw it through the hairpin there. He's able to gain about a tenth of a second through the hairpin alone. But, you know, the thing that doesn't work in the favour here for Siggy is that Imola has a very long front straight all the way from the final corner in towards turn number 1. So he has to try and defend that line every single time, it feels like, in this race. And it only requires one time for Moritz Lerner to squeeze his way through.
Yeah, he already made a mistake, didn't he? Luckily, he just about had a car's length to work with, where on the exit of turn number 1, Lerner was just not able to hold that overlap on the exit. We go a little bit further back here. Vermeulen's made a position up in from 6th to 5th. Price 6th position. Fiducci, Hugveld 7th and 8th. Hasser are indeed in 8th and 9th position. Not sure. Is that Pliska in 10th? I think it is. Pliska's in 10th position there, the Italian. We've then got Yarshall, Keithley, Dinya, Markovic, Pajic, Raschel, Nagy. We've got Pinches, and then we've got Gassner as your top 19. And then we've got Dorniden in 20th position. I've just remembered all of those names from abbreviations. What a guy. We've got Vermeulen then just about holding on to that top 5 position, but he is under some severe pressure here from Isaac Price. If someone can make a move, it's Isaac Price. He is a pretty aggressive driver, very calculated with it as well. He's gone on the brakes a little bit early here, trying to force that Ferrari offline. And I tell you what, on the exit here, Price has got the outside line. It's not quite going to work out, but again, you can see that he's trying to make something work here. He's got the Fordzilla team of Fiduci just in behind, trying to pick up any potential pieces that's left behind by these two. But really, the front 4 are just using this to their advantage, aren't they? They've just completely driven away.
Ooh, Fiduci sticking one down the inside of Price at Sosa. Can't get anything done there, though. It was just a bit of a scare to try and get Isaac Price offline, but he seems to have been immune from a move like that. But you can see, like, exactly as you said it there, Luke, the front 4 breaking away at the moment. Axel Vermeulen can't keep up, it seems, with these guys. So this works out in the front 4's favour. It allows them a little bit of space, maybe towards the end of the race, to have a little bit of a scrap without those additional third parties getting themselves involved. But Siggy has held on to this race lead quite well so far in this one. You can see the Ferrari just sliding its way through towards the exit of Variante Alta there. Of course, tyre wear, not too much of a problem here in this 15-minute sprint race. However, that will be a little bit more of an issue in the endurance race, where they have to do the, well, on average, 30-minute stints. Of course, it is a pit stop window that these guys will have to come down in on, and we'll see tyre performance become more of a factor then.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Tombo Wombo giving us both some gas. Love that. They both made a mistake. Out of Aqua Minerale, they both made a mistake, actually. Both sliding in the rears of the car already, so very much struggling. And it was Lerner went right to the right-hand side of the uphill section into that final chicane, into Variante Alta. And there used to be a guttering in that side of the circuit. I don't know if you remember that, but it used to be like a, I don't know, it's just like a divot where the water would run through for drainage. Now it's a curb, so you're good, but he's lucky, because if it was the old system, he would have been dragged off into the grass there. Because as soon as you get 2 wheels into that divot, it just drags you off. But yeah, now with the curbing, you see there the Italian flag curbing. It's not such a big deal. Has anyone moved up from the back end here? Looks like Fox is still P29, right? Whitford's not had a good time in P27, although he's just moved up to P26. But Rudinger, P21, you'd expect him to be a little bit higher. He's in the final points man position. But at this stage of the race here, what is it? There's 10 seconds separating the top 22 drivers. That is phenomenal. So, as much as I was saying there was guaranteed to be some action, there's going to be some crashes potentially, it just really hasn't been. Really good stuff from this group of drivers.
Yeah, things have been really consistent as far as everyone down the field. We've kept everyone. No one's retired in this race. No one's had a horrible spin and is about 20 seconds behind everyone else. Everyone's sort of in a roughly one big train, at least as far as this main pack or this, what to use a cycling term, a peloton is concerned, as we see Tim Yarshall diving his way down the inside of Pilsker. Has he overcommitted on the exit of the first Ravazza, though? He might have, so Pilsker is able to slip back in underneath.
Yeah, it just would have cost them both time here, really, more than anything. And it's a struggle, really, when you're up against the same car in front of you, because you know the strengths and you know their weaknesses, because it's exactly the same as yours. But also, on the flip side here, he's got a teammate in that Ferrari, and if he can force Pilsker to make a mistake here, it could be, well, it's going to be 3 wide here for sure. Ferrari decides to back out. That could have been, well, that was Dinya, so Dinya nearly. Oh, that's a big spin. Big spin. He just gets on top of the curve there. He puts the power down too early as the car's unsettled. And unfortunately, once the wheels then re-touch down on the tarmac, the car just wants to do its own thing there. It's like a happy dog. It just wants to spin. And unfortunately, he's going to drop right down. Where is Yarshall going to end up? It's P29. So you're battling for a top 10 1 second, and now you're P29, just because how close and clean this race has been. Very, very unfortunate there. And again, it's a sprint race. You've got to try and make something happen, but ultimately, you don't want it to have a massive detrimental effect. Getting big points in race 1 is huge moving forward. But ultimately for Yarshall, that's not going to be the case today. Look at this. Look at that cars all over the place. Sparks being flung up here. Do you think that Siggy and Lerner are on the limit? Well, judging by what we're seeing on our screens right now, absolutely. Are we going to see a potential move here, Connery, from Lerner? Is he going to be close enough? Or is it a case of, do you know what? There's not really any point in making a move. Get big points, move forward to the main race, and see what you can do there.
Well, for Lerner, I don't know. I can't get inside his head and tell exactly what he's thinking. However, we know over the last couple of years he's become more of a cool, calm and collected driver than he used to be. So he might just be happy just to sit in P2 here, take the points and have a look to do something in the endurance race. However, you can never really 100% tell a driver's mindsets, especially in these sorts of situations when the race lead is right there and you're getting this big old draft down the straight every single time. Here's another attempt here for Lerner, looking to the outside, but you saw what Siggy did there. He parked that Ferrari right in the middle of the road, forced Lerner to make a big decision, either going to the outside and try and commit to a small gap on the outside, or dive to the inside, which will not give him the line in through the chicane. It's great defensive driving here from Siggy at the moment.
I'm absolutely loving the cock cam there for sure on the BMW, but these two battling for position. Siggy keeps going defensive. Look who's caught up though, Krippner. You would assume that Krippner's not going to try and dive his teammate. Like, I know it's an individual championship right now, but you also got to factor in that it's the top 5 that win the prize. So the top 5 will indeed go to a sighting event during the DTM calendar this year, and they will be effectively judged, and the best one out of the 5 candidates will be given a full paid drive in the DTM Trophy 2023. So again, winning the race is great, getting big points is great, but if you can just get yourself top 5s week in, week out, every single race, you're pretty much guaranteed to go out there and be in the top 5 at the end of the championship. So, P2 isn't too bad, P3 isn't too bad, ultimately gives you more of a buffer, but yeah, this is fantastic to see from the likes of Siggy, Lerner, Krippner up there, Ottaviani, Vermeulen. I'm really, really chuffed to see someone like Vermeulen as well. Fiducci is another driver that I would say over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, they've really announced themselves in the world of sim racing, and you're seeing them now, not just on Race Room, but on other sims as well. They are really just there or thereabouts in every competition they enter now, which is fantastic for sim racing. There are so many talented drivers out there right now, as we still are on board then with Lerner and indeed Siggy. He is going to get that overlap once again here, and I think for the first time, he's got his nose just about ahead here, and I tell you what, this might be a move, it might be configured, it could be beautiful. Siggy though, still on that inside line, the BMW with that pace advantage as we come down in towards this very fast chicane before we head down into the hairpin, and it's done. Moritz Lerner, of course, our current champion in the DTM Esports, a DTM Trophy driver. He's been patient. He's waited 11 minutes to do so, but he is now in the lead. And look at this, Krippner looking to go through as well. Not quite going to work out. And this is perfect for Lerner. He needs Siggy and Krippner to battle, which means that Lerner can drive away. But there's been a few murmurs that Lerner maybe not at the right pace to go out and take the championship once again, become a 2-time DTM champion. Well, he has absolutely come here and thrown that rumour in the bin as he now leads race number 1.
Yeah, it was a great move there from Lona, and he set that up over the last couple of laps. He's sensed as, oh, Siggy, that's a bit too much of an off-track there. You gotta be so careful with cutting the course like that, otherwise you might get yourself a slowdown penalty. However, it seems like he's been able to get away with it for now, but you can see now trying to drive above his means here at the moment, trying to lock back onto the back of Lona, but Lona already starting to pull away a little bit. 0.5 of a second is the gap between P1 and P2. Of course, Siggy will get the slipstream out of the final corner into turn 1 this time, but we haven't seen the performance of that Ferrari in the slipstream. We've just seen it trying to defend. We saw the BMW get a huge run. Maybe not the case here with the Ferrari, depends on the run out of the final corner, of course, but for Lona, maintaining that 4.5 of a second ahead at the moment.
Yeah, BMW just is an absolute rocket ship in a straight line, even though it's punching the world's biggest hole in terms of the size of the car for the Ferrari. But ultimately, there's another BMW behind Siggy as well. And if I'm Siggy, I'm just making sure I get P2. You do not want to be losing any more positions here. He will close up naturally through the middle sector, which we're about to begin. Again, the Ferrari just seems a little... Oh, that's another mistake there. He is bashing on the curbs, and now he's under some severe pressure from Krippner. So, again, it's take it easy, get P2, take your medicine, move on to the endurance race. But I tell you what, that BMW is right up his chuff pipe here as we come up the hill, then come up towards Piratella, and it looks like he's going to live to fight another day. Siggy, though, has got this middle sector to his advantage. The Ferrari very much more nimble through the corners, on the curbs. But again, he's just taking, you noticed it, he keeps taking too much on exits of corners or cutting the corner a little bit too much. And ultimately, the curbs around here, they are very much raised, especially with those yellow little sort of bumpy curbs as well. It will just send you offline, it will send you off circuit. And again, it's kind of an Italian-style track, right? In terms of, you've got the same similar sort of curbs at Misano, you've got a similar at Monza as well, to stop people from cutting the chicanes too much. So, yeah, you just got to try and stay online here. And again, take your medicine. Ottaviani maybe looking to try and get a couple of Ferraris there in that top 3.
Yeah, he's been waiting here patiently as the driver from Italy, of course, in the quite essential Italian car as well, on board with the Ferrari out the final corner. So let's see what he can do from this position. He's been this 4th car in this leading quartet at the front of the field, but hasn't made too much of an impact just yet. Of course, there's only so much he can do in that Ferrari with this straight line speed deficit he has compared to the BMW. You can see the BMW ahead, pulling away despite the Ferrari having the slipstream towards the end of the straight there. That's how much of an advantage that it has. But yeah, let's see what Ottaviani can do from here. Of course, Krippner has his sights set on Siggy at the moment. You can see that gap developing for the race lead again. 1.6 seconds, the gap that has been pulled out by Moritz Lona already. That's how strong he seems to be at this stage. Didn't quite hook it up in qualifying, it seems, but in race pace, it seems like there's no one better at the moment.
Vermaelen Price are having a massive old ding-dong here. Look at how far offline Vermaelen's going to defend up towards Piratella. They will come. And I tell you what, Price is very close indeed. If he can nail this middle sector, he will have that long run down in towards turn number 1 once again. Although it's going to be closest to whether this is the last lap. They crossed the line pretty much bang on their qualifying time. So I have no idea as to whether we're going to get one more lap here or not. So I'm going to tentatively call this the last lap. But I'm pretty sure we will have one more to go. I'm not quite 100% sure how it's going to go down, but we'll figure it out. Maybe we get 2 race finishes here for the price of 1, which is always good. Down towards then what will be the final double left-hander here through Ravazza, and Moritz Lerner is, of course, already a DTM Esports champion. Got his DTM trophy seat because of it, and he's about to come up towards the line here and take the checkered flag. 5 seconds to go. It's going to be mighty close, but I think it is going to be the final lap of the race. Or is it? No, we've got one more. It was right bang on 0. Has he done it? I don't know. No, I think there's one more.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him as finished. How about that? It was basically between 0 and 1 second heading his way across the line there. And we go one more. So another chance potentially for things to change further down the field in this battle for P2. Perhaps not all that much towards the very end, but we do have battles further down the order involving Rachel and Payet and others as well. So they'll be very thankful for this extra lap.
Yeah, Marco Payet was again racing last night in the VCO ERL. So yeah, double duty for him this week, which is difficult to prepare for 2 different competitions, but still doing relatively well. He's going to earn some decent-ish points. Price, as you can see here, is now under a bit of pressure from Gianmarco Fiducci from Team Fordzilla. I love the Fordzilla livery. I just think it's just so unique, and it's just, I don't know what the term would be. I'm a 35-year-old man, so it's like so down with the kids. It's just like, it's like graffiti car. It's just new age. I don't know. I'm just sounding I'm sounding like more of a boomer every time I say anything. But yeah, I just think it's a really cool livery from Fordzilla, and it's kind of across all of their games that they do indeed take part in. Lerner, though, here we go. Take 2 for race number 1. He has got the double left-hander to go here, then the long run towards the start-finish line. And it wasn't easy. Kevin Siggy qualified pole, and he led for, about 11 minutes here. But Moritz Lerner kept trying to make that move into turn number 1. Got the overlap, and through 3, he indeed managed to hold on to that position. He is our champion for the DTM Esports currently. And while race 1 of 2022's version is going to go to that number 1 car for Dura Esports, it's Moritz Lerner. Siggy takes P2, Krippner P3, Ottaviani P4, Vermeulen takes 5th position. We've got Price, Fiducci, Hassa. We've got Hugveld and Pliska as your top 10. We've got a hellacious little battle here as 3 BMWs then cross the line holding hands. A Ferrari there of the number 87. That's one of our wildcard drivers comes through as well. Had a bit more pace there around the outside for some reason. But here are your official results. Take us through it, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely. Moritz Lerner takes the race win here in the sprint race. The first sprint race of the season with Kevin Siggy P2, Krippner P3 with Ottaviani in P4, Axel Vermeulen P5 with Isaac Price in P6. Then P7 you've got Gianmarco Fiducci, Florian Hassa, Christopher Hugveld, Peter Pilsker rounds out the top 10. And then of course you have the drivers outside the top 10 involving Dinier, Keithley, Markovic, Rachel, Pejic down to P15 here today. And Nagy, Pinces, Donoden, Garsner and Rudinger round out the top 20 cars. Of course, it's down to P21 where the points go, so P21 will go to Max Pfeiffer. He'll get the last point. And then those outside the points, Vanna, Yarshel, Wittvoet, Mosin, Rodriguez, Fox and Ringer.
I'll tell you what, we've got one driver at DNFs there, but in terms of the 27 cars that did finish, 25.8 seconds between first and last, there was not a lot of incidents in that race, was there? Like, it was really, really that close, which is exceptional for us moving forward. We still, of course, got a 60-minute race to come as well, ladies and gentle cars, which is going to prove to be very exciting as well. They've got the little matter of a pit stop as well. They've got to change tyres. They may go with light fuel at the start to try and be quick at the start and then put some fuel in the pit stop. I don't know what's going to go down there. It's going to be really, really exciting. But that first race, it looked like Kevin Siggy had it sewn up in qualifying. He was a full 10th ahead, which at this level, Connery, is massive. But Lerner, well, yeah, you can't bet against him when it comes to DTM Esports.
You simply can't. You simply can't. And to get this race win, so important. It gives him a bedrock to build off of. And if you're Kevin Siggy, what are you thinking now coming into this endurance race? Because it's obvious that despite your best efforts on the defense, that move in towards turn number 1, if there's a BMW behind you, is so strong that if you're in that situation, you're having to defend it every lap. So can Siggy do something with regards to the strategy here? Does he go for an early stop, try and get a bit of a gap, and try and make sure that he's outside the slipstream of the BMW, for example, so that it can't get and threaten into turn 1 every single time? I don't know what the plan is for Siggy, but there has to be a plan.
Yeah, it all depends where the pit window is as well. I'm not sure how long the pit window is. I'm sure there will be one. Or maybe it's just a free-for-all. Who knows? If it's free-for-all, then, well, we're in for an absolute treat. Well, go out there, ladies and gentlemen, get yourself some snacks, some drinks, because we have got a second race coming up for you very, very shortly. But we're just going to go for a very, very quick break.
Auto Hero ist dein Online-Shop für Gebrauchtwagen. Wir verkaufen nur Autos aus unserem eigenen Bestand. Jedes ist von unseren Kfz-Experten general überholt und rundum aufbereitet. Und du erhältst 1 Jahr Garantie. So unbeschwert kann Autokauf sein. Finde jetzt dein Auto bei Auto Hero.
I'm Should I look both ways before you cross me, babe? 'Cause I don't break for boys. I'm moving on. Let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Well, welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the DTM Esports 2022. And it would appear that I may have let the cat out of the bag a little bit early. So you guys watching on this broadcast, well, you maybe got 30 minutes extra time to know about the DTM cars coming to Race Room tomorrow, including the Ferraris, of course, which everyone's really, really excited about. But yeah, I think the announcement was supposed to be in the adverts there, Connery. But here we are. It's done. It's dusted. The cars are coming. How exciting is that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy, and I hope everyone tomorrow is able to enjoy everything that these cars bring. Of course, the new Ferrari as well. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Of course, you're seeing these drivers sort of have their early access, so to speak, of the cars, but soon it will be released to the wider public, and everyone will be able to get in and enjoy. And potentially maybe get yourself used to these cars so that maybe next season you can come and take part as well, as we see the first times in our second qualifying session start to be set.
Oh, Hookveld there with a 40.228. That is a very competitive time, and that might be very difficult to beat, actually. Siggy is second by 8 thousandths of a second. It's not a lot at all. Hassa is in third then, and Lerner is in fourth position. This is how excited I was about the cars. On Monday, I actually contacted Race Room to get all of the images of the cars so I could set up a league for a couple of weeks' time to start. I was like, look, I know the cars are coming at some point. Please give me the images. I need to set it all up. It needs to be ready. And they're like, yeah, okay, sure, good. There you go. And I'm like, oh my God, it's actually this week. Yes. So I've been super, super pumped about it for a long time. Again, as a long-time fan of DTM and actually having to work with them as well, which is always good. Yeah, it's kind of exciting to see the cars that I've been watching for the whole last 12 months actually on a computer screen. But here we go. We're actually here with those cars, but with the team liveries of our esports drivers, which I think is a really nice touch here, as well as Florian Hassa, the DTM Esports team driver, is currently in third position. But Hookveld, again, he was one of those drivers during the qualifying period of this competition, Connery, where he just got better and better and better the longer he was around in it. And I think we're seeing the same here today. There's going to be a couple of drivers that have to have used race number one for how much they could have learned moving into the endurance race.
Yeah, this is the situation now. They've had that one race under their belts. Of course, it's under slightly different circumstances compared to what the endurance race is going to have, how the endurance race is going to work. But they sort of know how well the racing's gone, and it's gone pretty well in that sprint race. We had very few major incidents. We didn't have a major smash. We saw, of course, a big spin or two, but apart from that, everyone was driving within their means. So that looks good here for this endurance race. Of course, there's an element of when this race starts, you want to try and get on a noisy pedal, get yourself a good couple of positions, benefiting from a good start. But once that first lap or so is underway, and we've got that under our belts, then of course things should calm down just a little bit as drivers try to figure out where they want to be and what they want to do for that scheduled stop. So the drivers will take a little bit more of a cerebral approach to this one. They're going to think about it more. It's not just tunnel vision on the car ahead and try and get the passes done. They're going to take it a little bit calmer than that, and it should result in a good race for a different reason compared to the sprint race, of course, with the strategy element involved.
Yeah, 100%, and that is the big thing to be thinking about here, is that there will be the the small means of strategy here. They can be a little bit more creative with how they do things. Of course, with that pit stop, I'm just seeing Tombo Wumba in the chat going, if I'm not mistaken, the M6 is not that good with tyres over a longer stint. Well, luckily for them, there's no tyre wear multiplier on this. It is a case of they have effectively can do 2 stints with 30 minutes each in an hour-long race if they came in right bang in the middle. If you start to feel the tyres go off with 20 minutes into your stint, could be in a bit of trouble, that's for sure. But if you make it to that 30-minute mark, it almost might be worth staying out a little bit longer and just having 20 minutes on unbelievable tyres opposed to the 30 and then them dropping off once again. So, by the way, Siggy is about to take pole position, I think. He has taken pole position at 600ths of a second. It's his second pole position if it stays as it is for the day. He hasn't got a race win as of yet. He got beaten by Lerner, but Lerner is currently only in 6th position. Hoogveld, though, is up on his time here. He's 1.5 tenths of a second up on the best time so far of Kevin Siggy. I don't think qualifying is quite over as yet.
Yeah, we see top 3 drivers in Ferraris at the moment. So in terms of 1 lap overall pace in relatively clear air, it seems like the Ferrari is the manufacturer that you want to go with. But we saw that the BMWs were so strong in racing mode due to the fact that they can get huge runs over anything that's not called a BMW. But we can see that now. Christopher Hoogveld coming through and out of the final corner, a little bit slower on his second sector here. So let's see if he's either able to get up to P1 or P2 or remain P3 as he heads his way across the line. Now, not a great sector 3, so he does remain in P3 for now. Siggy still towards the very top of the order here in this one. I'm having a look to try and see where Moritz Lohner is. Herbal through sector 1, not too great of a sector 2. It might be an improvement, however, to the top of the order, I don't know.
Look at Florian Hasser. Florian Hasser up into P2 here in the BMW, 300ths of a second off of Kevin Siggy. Moritz Lohner, a terrible middle sector, and needs to figure it out in the final sector. There will be no time to improve if he doesn't do it now. He has improved. It's only by 1 spot. He's up to P5, but we know he is capable of making overtakes, and he's got 4 times the amount of time in the race to go out there and get it. So by my maths, if he does 1 overtake every 15 minutes like the first race, he will go out there and win the race. But Fiducci has now just made that even more difficult because he's got up to P2 here, and it's by 100th of a second. We've got Marv in the chat as well. I owe everything in my career to Marv. He created me as a human being. Great to see you, mate. Hopefully everything's well with you. There, I'm sure you're chilling on the sofa having a beer or 2. As Pajic, then, in the Mercedes, we've got an AMG up there, Connery. He's got up to P5. Section isn't quite over as of yet. We're seeing page 2 right now. There's Markovic, Dinya. We've got Pfeiffer, and then we've got page 3 now. Jack Keithley, Pinches, Dorniden, Mosin, Whitvert, Vanna. We've then got Bringer, Fox, and Manu Rodriguez. That Porsche has been an absolute dog today, I think, unfortunately for him. Kevin Siggy, though, it looks like he's going to take pole position. Gianmarco Fiducci, Hasser, Hoogveld, Pajic, Ottaviani, Lerner, indeed, will be your top 7. So Lerner's dropped down into 7th position. So winner for race number 1, not having the best qualifying in race number 2.
Yeah, we're seeing no changes towards the top of the order in terms of the last-ditch laps, shall we say. So Kevin Siggy still secure in his pole position for the 2nd time here today, and it's an all-Ferrari front row as well. Gianmarco Fiducci in the Team Fordzilla car is there in 2nd place as well. Hasse Hoogveld 2nd row. But for Lohner, P7, especially coming off of the back of the race win in the sprint race, that's not ideal. But then again,
no,
it's
not
a long
ideal,
race.
But when you've got P1 in your back pocket from race number 1, it's not the worst thing in the world. And he also knows he's capable of making overtakes, where not everyone can say that. Fiducci is a big surprise there. Well, I say surprise. Again, he's someone who's been improving over and over and over again. I love race room because you always see this, people speeding in the pit lanes. Great for a race. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes down in this race. We've got 4.5 minutes of warm-up. Kevin Siggy now knows he's got to be wary of the BMWs in a straight line. I'm sure he would have known that anyway, but more so now. But he's got a Ferrari behind him. Can he keep Fiducci behind him? Fiducci, I think if he wants to go out and win this race, has to make the move on the first lap.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the good thing for the Ferraris at the moment is pending a good start from the BMWs. There's only one BMW that's in the thick of them at the moment. That's Florian Hasse starting in 3rd place. So, this changes the complexion of the event a little bit. Of course, we saw in that sprint race things get shuffled towards the very front of the order from the get-go, pretty much. As we saw Ottaviani in that particular instance getting himself a very, very good start from a couple of rows back. He's starting a couple of rows back again in this event. So potentially. Same thing needed for Ottaviani, but yeah, gaggle of Ferraris towards the very front. I expect them to have the early pace as well. Whether or not they can bring enough gap on those cars behind still remains to be seen, but of course we got the strategy to think about in that one as well. I certainly can't wait to get things going. It's going to be quite telling for the rest of the season, I get the feeling, especially with the differences between the manufacturers. What goes on here at Imola might give the drivers a bit of a better insight to how things are going to go in later rounds of the season, such as at the Norris Ring, Lausitz Ring, Spa, Red Bull Ring and Portimao.
Well, we've just seen 2 Ferraris make love to each other there, so expect some baby Ferraris in 9 months' time. It's always fun to see that in their natural habitat. Well, we've got 3 minutes to go here. Let's have a look at the calendar for this season. We have not only got Imola, this is only the beginning of the championship this year. So we head next time out to the Norris Ring on the 24th of March. The Lausitz Ring then is the next one in the calendar for round number 3 on the 7th of April. Spa-Francorchamps is on the 10th of April. Then we've got the Red Bull Ring on the 21st of April. And then the 28th of April is Portimao. Lots of stuff going down in April. What a month that is going to be. Let's check out then today's format as well, just to give you a little clue or indication as to what has gone down so far and what to expect from the next rounds this season. We have got qualifying, which is 10 minutes for each race. But there's 2 races. One is a sprint race, which is 15 minutes. And then we've got an endurance race, which is 60 minutes. They earn the same points from 40 down to 1, from P1 down to P21. So that is for both races, the same point system. But let's check out then the entry list here. So you can maybe pick your favorite car or even have a look out as to who you could be looking out for. Because, you know, my favorite thing about racing cars is the colors, the liveries, the schemes. And sometimes maybe there's people here watching for the first time like, I don't have a favorite sim racer, but I really like pink. So I'm going to go for Pinches, and I'm going to go for Rudinger. Oh, well, I like green. Well, if you like green, you've got many options there. You've got Dorniden, Dinya, Vermeulen, you've got Gaston, Markovic, you've got Pfeiffer, and you've got Yarshall. If you want to support the MediaMarkt boys, those are the drivers that are the back 3. They're 27, 28, and 29. They have qualified via our wildcard and are indeed the MediaMarkt sponsored cars. Well, you can go and find them. They are bright red. We've got Mosin. He is actually representing Balash Esports, but in a MediaMarkt car. We've got Bodin, who has represented Deutsche Payment Esports. He's in the red Ferrari as well. And then you've got Julien Fox, who is racing for TR powered by Geeks Energy. What a team that is, by the way, in the red BMW. So there you go. Pick your favorite car there. And well, then we can have a bit of fun, right? So maybe you're just sat here casually watching, but it's always good when you're rooting for someone. Let's head back out onto track then as we're about to get our formation lap underway. 45 seconds to go. A little bit of a different outlook in terms of the qualifying result here, Connery. Does that change your opinion of who's going to go out there and win the race? Have you got anyone particular you're looking out for?
I think Siggy this time, given his closest competitors from last race, a little bit adrift in qualifying, Siggy has a very, very good chance. But we're sort of taking shots in the dark here a little bit because, of course, we don't know how the strategy is going to work out. We have no races previous with these cars in this sort of racing, with now a race with a pit stop in the middle. We don't have that information to be able to judge. Of course, we had the murmurings of the BMWs being a little bit poorer on their tyres throughout the longer runs. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But if that's the case, the Ferraris have a good chance, and of course, the Ferrari that's at the top of everyone's list is Kevin Siggy.
Yeah, well, that was Tombo Wombo in the YouTube chat. If there's something I've learned over the years of being a broadcaster, never believe anything that's said in the YouTube chat. So, you know, the BMW may be the best out of everyone in terms of tyres. But yeah, some of the stuff I've read in the YouTube chat is just mind-blowing. But yeah, again, Tombo Wombo could be right, who knows? But can you trust someone called Tombo Wombo? you know, you wouldn't put your house on it. Again, only having a bit of fun here, ladies and gentlemen, only having a bit of fun. 50 seconds to go. They're all going to grid up here. They've got one full formation lap. Again, it is absolutely vital they don't get themselves a penalty on the start, so make sure you start at the right time. It will be Siggy that take us away. He's got a Ferrari of Fiduci to kind of back him up here, whereas he was under assault from the DTM Esports drivers of Krippner and indeed Moritz Lerner last time round. He's got a little bit of a buffer with another Ferrari behind him, so excited to see how this goes down. Everyone's taking their time a little bit more so this time. If they don't ready up before the 30 seconds, they will just be put onto the grid anyway, so just as well do it early. But as you know in sim racing, Connery, there's always at least one.
Yep, there is, and well, hopefully these guys know that this is a pretty big deal, and they get themselves all ready, and in fact they are. So we have, of course, that extra 3 minutes on the timer just to get this rolling start in, and well, to get us going here for the endurance race at Imola. So we've had a little bit of a prelude here, Luke. We've had a slight little look into how the racing is going to be today, but this is, of course, is the main event, and well, I can't wait to get it started. Everyone off and away. Seems to be no dramas. Further down the field, Siggy leads them single file through on this formation lap. I can pull up the standings on the left-hand side as well, just to remind you where everyone is for the moment. But yeah, this is a big one. Like I said at the start of this broadcast, Luke, it's going to be quite high tension for the drivers, and I think it's going to be the case here as well for this race start. They know what's on the line here for 60 minutes of racing.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be quite highly strung here as well. I'm pretty excited for this. Whew, my heart is beating through my chest. I love this stuff. This is what I live for. We've also got someone saying hello to us here. Jacques Duplessis. I'm going to throw it out there. That's the most South African name I've ever heard. I'm sure you're from South Africa. If you're not, then, well, you learn something new every day. But yeah, well, hi, mate. How you doing? Hopefully you're all well. Right, here we go. It's race time here then. So we have got ourselves half of a lap left to go in the formation. And then it is a full 1 hour long race here. So it's a long one, but I'm sure we're going to get some excitement here. There's going to be a mandatory pit stop here. That's going to be something that these drivers may use in terms of strategy just to get themselves out of maybe some traffic if they can pit early. Yeah, it's super exciting, and it's just something a little bit different here. Nice to have two completely different races, two different disciplines, if you like, in terms of length and time. So it should be good. Siggy then will take us away to come back up the hill here. And for me, I think the Ferraris are going to struggle for their tyres. Judging by the way the line Siggy was taking, who's probably one of the more smoother drivers in the world of sim racing, especially being right at the top of the charts in terms of talent, he was all over the place. He was hitting over curbs. He was, well, no more so than Gianmarco Fiduci. He was off there to Misano, I think. But yeah, it seemed like the Ferraris were struggling more than BMWs. And also, once the BMW got ahead of them, they really were struggling. So yeah, I think it might be the Ferrari that might be the car that will drop off the quickest.
Well, we don't have to wait too long until we see here. That's for certain here, Luke, as we look to try and get this race started in just a handful of moments' time.
Here we go, one corner to go then. It is race 2 of the DTM Esports 2022. Hello, Pim VM. Hopefully you're well. Enjoy the race, my friend. Everybody out there in the chat, get yourselves involved. Let me know where you're watching from, who you're supporting, as they all go in 2 by 2. It's like Noah's Ark here. Well, let's hope this race isn't too big. Across the line, we're about to go. Kevin Siggy will take us away. Fiduci in second spot. It is 2 Ferraris then, and then it's the first of our BMWs. And it is Siggy that takes us away. He gets a very good start once again. And Otto Viani, very similarly to what we saw in race number 1, and that number 74 is looking to potentially make it 3 wide, but he doesn't this time. But it's 3 wide behind as Marco Pajic and that number 14, that AMG, the white AMG on the inside, is looking to come through here. It is 3 wide, and I tell you what, fair play to Fiduci. He holds on to that position. Hookveld was getting involved there as well, and Florian Hasser. Moritz Lerner, by the way, is in 7th position, if you wanted to know where the winner from race number 1 is. Dinya and Plisko having a battle here. Price and Krippner are battling for 9th and 10th position. They're side by side here, and I think you'll find that Isaac Price has maybe just about got it, although Krippner's got the inside line down in towards that hairpin. They've got a BMW around the outside. There's Ferraris everywhere. There's a Fortilla AMG just for a bit of fun in the background there as well. There are cars everywhere, but Connery, what a clean start from our esports stars here. A full 1 hour to go, and it's been outstanding already.
It's not very normal that we get to see clean starts at Imola, but we've had 2 of them. Although, looking towards the very back of the order, we do see some cars taking the off-track, going for a little bit of a rallycross moment.
Oh, it's Keithley!
Able to
Jack
rejoin.
Keithley's out!
Keithley.
So second, he is our vice champion from DTM Esports, the original, back in 2020, and he finds himself then, well, in the shadow realm. That is not a good start then for Jack Keithley, and he has got it all to do here for that Williams Esports team. I tell you, one driver who's having a whale of a time in this race, number 2, Kevin Siggy, has got a huge margin to work with, and yes, it's 8 tenths, and I know that may not sound like it's huge, but with this level of driver, that is massive. We've got 2 Ferraris in behind. Hugveld making a very good run of this, with behind Fiducci. Hassa then is in P4. Ottaviani, Pajic. Is Pajic going to be under any kind of pressure here? I think he probably is. Fiducci, though, has got to try and keep Hugveld in behind. Hugveld then going to make the run here. He's got the inside line. What's Fiducci doing? Why is Fiducci giving up the inside line? Actually, no. Do you know what? It might be quite clever, although the contact there has hurt him. The contact there has completely halted his momentum, and now he's under pressure from Hassa in behind. I'm not sure why you leave that inside line now. I don't think the outside line is I know you're going through a chicane, so ultimately if you give up the inside line, you've got the inside line for the next corner. I just don't think it's worth doing through that specific set of corners. I feel like you're going to lose too much there as Hassa now. It's going to be the next driver to try and make some advancements there. The number 46 there makes a little bit of a mistake, grabs too much curb turning in and trying to block the maneuver there. But ultimately, Siggy and Hugveld have now been able to drive away. And Hugveld, again, 1 second behind, might be able to make some advancements towards our race leader.
Could do. He's just on the very tail end of the slipstream, as it seems like Fiducci just sort of backing up the traffic behind him at the moment. I'm not like you. I'm not too sure what happened there towards turn number 1. Maybe, just maybe, Fiducci had it in his mind to just sort of try and get some slingshot action going with Hugveld, but has completely and utterly butchered it. And now Florian Hassa, well, he's looking ahead, but also looking behind at the moment, because Ottaviani certainly applying pressure in the Ferrari behind at the moment. It's a big old nose-to-tail train all the way down the field here, pretty much down to P19 from this P3. So this is, a big cluster. Hopefully they don't have too many problems. Speaking of, Hassa just pushing a little bit wide through the first Ravazza there. That might even give a run to Ottaviani behind.
Yeah, I think Ottaviani kind of has to take avoiding action there, but also the BMW pace advantage in a straight line. It's going to get him out of trouble. So he's going to be golden, I think. As you can see, Moritz Lerner then trying to find a gap to work with here on Ottaviani. And Ottaviani instantly defends one way, and he's already made his one defensive move here. You don't want to be making too many, because you could be looking at a penalty, and he makes a dive up the inside then for the next position being Florian Hassa. And the contact there is going to have halted his progress. And now Moritz Lerner is all over his chuff pipe here, down in towards that chicane, the second of our 97 chicanes here at Imola. Too much curve there for the Ferrari. The Ferrari's, again, more nimble through the corners, but you get a bit too greedy. You hit those yellow curbs on the inside of the Italian flagged curbs, and you're in a whole heap of trouble. But most important thing here is that Ottaviani has held on to P5. We're having a few people in the chat saying it's the cleanest turn 1 in esports history. Race Room, if you've not tried this game, ladies and gentlemen, the contact physics in this game really do promote the door banging racing, not door banging, but a little bit of contact here and there. You don't tend to end up being sent to the moon. So yeah, it's really worth trying, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get yourself involved in some esports. And they have esports competitions all throughout the year. I would say, maybe bar iRacing, there's not a game that puts more esports competitions on with brands as well. So definitely get yourself involved with the game. Here we go, down towards the end of lap number 2. It is still Siggy that leads. Hugveld, Fiducci, Hassa, Ottaviani, Lerner, Pajic, Rudinger. We've got Isaac Price, who's dropped down now from 7th to 9th position. Gassner as your top 10. And really, for the biggest surprise to me, is Krippner, who finished in P3 in race number 1. He's all the way down in 11th spot here. So not the best of starts. Same with Lerner. And for my money here, I think if Siggy did go out and win this race, he would be our championship leader by the end of the day.
Yep, I think the mathematics works out in the favour there, as we're running on board with Lerner again, forcing Ottaviani to go defensive this time around. Commitment around the outside, on the brakes by Moritz Lerner.
Oh, he's got him.
The tour margin though, out into the gravel goes Ottaviani.
That's going to be looked at, 100% going to be looked at there. I don't think Lerner's done a lot wrong, but basically, if you're on the absolute limit of the car and you're leaning on the weight transfer, you're just not really in 100% control of the car, and ultimately Ottaviani here is being sent out onto the gravel, and that's where you lose a lot of time. He's now being overtaken here for P9, now P10, and he is just dropping like a stone here. He's going to be furious with Moritz Lerner there. Again, Lerner hasn't done anything too crazily wrong there, but ultimately he wasn't 100% control of the car, so I'll be very surprised if that wasn't deemed as a penalty-worthy incident there from our steward.
Yeah, we will have to have stewards review after this race, of course. The results that you'll see pop up on your screen will be unofficial. Pending stewards review, we'll try and get the updated standings to you as quickly as possible after the race, of course. Yeah, we still got 54 minutes, rounding it up correctly, until we even get to that point. So we're getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit here in this situation. See Gassner has the train established behind him for P9 Ottaviani. Only fell down to P10, which sounds like a lot of positions lost. However, it could have been so much worse. As you can see, pretty much the entire field still in a train behind.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's one of those, if you push too hard to go forward, you're potentially going to make an overtake. But if you don't get it stuck because they're all so quick, you're more than likely going to be under pressure from cars behind and lose more spots behind as well. So it's a double-edged sword, as they like to say, trying to make moves here. It's a long race as well. It's probably worth being a little bit cleverer than just trying to force something this early in the race, because ultimately, if there's drivers in front of you, you think, oh, I could definitely make a move here because they're making mistakes, I'm quicker through this corner. That's not going to change throughout the race, right? If anything, it's going to get even more pronounced because their tyres are going to be going off. They're going to lose concentration because it's a long evening's racing. So yeah, having a bit of patience really is, I think, the name of the game. Siggy, 1.3 seconds in the lead. Hugveld does not look out of place in that top two as well. Leon Rudiger is dropping like a stone here. It's almost like he ran out of fuel going into the corner. But the Fordzilla team driver then of the with the AMG coming through as well. And Rudiger is now down into, 13th position. And I'm wondering here, because the curbs are very vicious on Race Room, whether he might have snapped his steering here. That is a thing, and yeah, you use too much curbing around here, you are in serious trouble. Doesn't look like he's crabbing. We'll see on the exit up the hill here. Yeah, he's struggling. There's something not right here. Something definitely not right. I'm not sure what the damage is. The fact that Ferrari's just able to pull away like it's nothing is a little bit of a worry here. I think Rudiger might be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I just got the tower out of the way just so you can see his steering inputs. It seemed like it was tracking relatively straight down the straight bits of roads, but whether or not there's some unknown damage to that BMW. Sometimes it can be quite well hidden, at least from a visual perspective, especially if there's damage underneath the car that we can't easily see, or if there's damage to the suspension geometry. But for Leon Rudiger, well, he's now in the slipstream of the Ferrari ahead of him. We might have to skip ahead because we do have a battle for P3 going on at the moment. As we see this battle for P12 start to develop, we will have to look away because there's Gianmarco Fiducci trying to keep Hassa.
Oh yeah, he's just under some severe pressure here. Hassa doing his very best to try and gain this spot here, but again, something we've seen from the team specifically is that they've been patient. Lerner did win race number 1, but it was being patient. He didn't force something with Siggy. He waited 11 minutes. You know, he had an opportunity through turn 1 every single time, and I just don't think we're going to see anything different from Florian Hassa. I'll be very surprised if he did try and force something. I think it's very clear that BMW is quicker. Be interesting to see what happens past the 15-minute mark, because of course we haven't seen them race for longer than 15 minutes today. We really will get an insight as to what the tyre wear situation is like for BMWs and indeed the Ferraris. They're really the only two cars that are in contention. We've got a couple of AMGs in terms of AH, Priska and Raschel down in P15. Pfeiffer as well in 19th position, and then Keithley, he's made it back up to P23 by the way. I tell you what, if he manages to get some points out of this race, that would be an incredible performance from him. And again, he's one of those drivers, if anyone could do it, it's Jack Keithley. He is always there or thereabouts, especially when it comes to race room competition.
Yes, and he has 50 minutes to do it, remember. Not usually in this situation, are you, when you have such a long amount of time to try and recover things. So that's going to work in the favour of Jack Keithley. And, well, we'll see how well he does. Back towards relatively the very front of the order as Moritz Lerner. Is he going to pull off a move on his teammate here? Is Hassa letting him go? Hassa has let him go. So a swap between the two DTM Esports teammates there for P4 and 5. I think Hassa might have more confidence in Lerner being able to pull off this move than he is in himself.
Yeah, I think the factor here is Lerner's already made a move today, right, on a Ferrari. At this top level of esports, they're so similarly paced that making an overtake, you need to have about half a second advantage. So you've got to force something, as we are seeing here, up towards the hairpin. And I think what we're going to see here, potentially from Hassa, is that Moritz Lerner slows that Ferrari down through this sector specifically, and then gives that BMW a chance to tow all the way down into turn #1. So we'll watch out and see how this goes, because there's no way Haas is giving that away for free. But fair play, if he's gone for the whole, look, you are quicker than me, Lerner, you can get this job done. The best possible situation is to get it done in the next couple of corners, and he did. So that means they're going to be wasting 0 time here. And again, Lerner just trying to break that toe, trying to make that Ferrari as slow as possible, and he's trying to give Haas an opportunity. I think you'll find that Lerner will try and slow them down in towards that final couple of corners, because he knows that his BMW is going to be able to drive away. Haas has got to do his job now. He's got to try and get past here and make that whole exchange worthwhile. And we got another shout here. Oli saying he loves the commentators. So much love here. You know this is YouTube, guys. You're supposed to be slanderous and horrendous to us. But yet, here we go. We've got positive comments. Again, hopefully you're enjoying the show, ladies and gentlemen. Shardon, sorry, mate. I was only putting you on the spot, having a bit of fun, mate. Hopefully you're all well. Yeah, what a race we're having, Connery, here. And I think we're seeing the team effect taking shape. We know it's an individual championship, but it's in any esport ever. If you've got a couple of teammates that you can work with, you're in a much better position. And you know this more than anyone. Yeah. As a commentator for PESC, you know exactly how that goes down.
Well, ex-commentator for PESC. I'm not on that series anymore, but there we go. But you are exactly right. It's always good to have that sort of rear gunner if you're that car ahead. You know, you don't have to immediately worry about cars behind. Speaking of worry, though, Fiduci's going to worry about that exit off the corner, because he got a whole bunch of oversteer coming off, and now, Haas leads on him. Haas half spins him. He's able to recover, though, is Fiduci. It's going to be a couple of lost positions, but my word, that was a little bit too close to confident. And again, the stewards are going to have to look at that one. Haas might be in a bit of trouble and have to head to the headmaster's office.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a telling off, that's for sure. That was one of those where you've had contact with someone having a bit of a poor exit, and you've just kept your foot on the loud pedal. You know, you've not backed out there at all. You've just basically driven through them. Fiduci was a hood ornament there, effectively, on the BMW for a moment of time. But the big winner really is Marco Pajic. Look at this guy here. Again, in the AMG, bit of a surprise to see an AMG up there. Of course, it looks like the BMW and the Ferrari are the stronger two cars around this circuit specifically. He got a P15 in race number 1, which is good points, but he's just there or thereabouts. Can he potentially get past the BMW here? I'm sure the BMW will have a bit of damage as well, because that was a big bit of contact as well, a big old shunt. But yeah, it is what it is.
It absolutely is. And well, down on towards the pit lane comes Isaac Price then. Isaac Price down on towards the pit lane. Now, is this penalty related, or is this stop related?
No, the window's open.
Related. Yeah,
the window's open, so they got the red disc there on the right-hand side of the screen. That means the pit window's open. Once that's gone green, so for anyone watching at home, they've got the red box now next to their names. As soon as that goes green, that means they've done their pit stop. They have to serve one pit stop. And for Price, it is a strategic move, right? As soon as it's open, it's a case of, right, let's get this done, let's get some decent track position here, and we move on.
It's not the regular thing that we see from Price, though. Price is usually one of those drivers that decides to just go as long as possible in that first stint and then come down in at the very, very last moment just before the pit window closes. However, it's a little bit of a change of pace for Isaac Price to come down in now and get the fresher rubber on the car. Of course, a little bit further down the order than he would have wanted, so maybe he wants that fresh rubber just to try and get into a little bit of clear air, set those fast lap times and get the undercut going on those drivers ahead of him to put him in a little bit of a better point. As Rudiger, drive-through penalty for speeding.
Oh! That is a kick in the nuts if ever I've seen one. He's just served his pit stop to try and get out of the traffic. And he's just parking it. And he's, that is a DNF for this race here, which, I'm going to be honest, the Imola pit lane is, I guess it's on a real fast part of the circuit, as it normally is, but I don't think you lose too much time if you're someone of Rudiger's pace. I feel like you could get back up into some points paying positions, but here we are, it's done. He's in the pits, he's going to be over. Leonard Krippner is just dropping further and further back here. Had a very good race number 1, needs to start making some positions up as early as possible, as we have got ourselves P7 into the pits. That's Gassner into the pits, he comes. See the leaders wait until the last second, and then I'm sure we're going to see people sort of 7th, 8th, maybe down in towards P15. I'm sure they're all going to wait till sort of midway, halfway through this race.
Yeah, so Gassner in at this lap. We've got Alexander Dornaden also heading his way down in. So the two Germans heading their way and getting those fresher tyres. And of course, they're trying to fuel up to the end of the race as well. So these drivers, they'll obviously be benefiting from the fresher rubber basically on lap 2 of their stint. It takes about a lap for these tyres to try and get themselves up into the correct operating window with regards to the temperatures and the pressures. So from lap 2 of their stint onwards, they're going to be absolutely flying compared to everyone else. However, of course, that situation switches towards the end of the race when everyone else comes down in. Of course, you know, for those that have been in motorsports for a while, even in esports as well, of course, that's the most obvious thing. But we might have some new viewers that might not understand how the strategies work in this sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. We've got to make sure that everybody understands what's going on, because I'm going to be honest with you, that was good for me, Connery. I struggle to understand most of the time, if I'm being completely honest. I just get excited to see vroom vroom cars go around the track. It's really as simple as that for me. We've got Markovic, probably the most supported driver in the stream, I would say, in terms of YouTube today. He is currently residing in P13, but a couple of cars have hit in front of him under a little bit of pressure here, actually, from Nagy, the Hungarian. On race room, there is always a Hungarian when it comes to esports, and I'm going to go as far to say on every esports competition ever, there is always a Hungarian, and that is a lean on to pass there, if ever I've seen one. Not the worst thing in the world, but I would say that that's, not the most ideal.
Christopher Högvald down on towards the pit lane, so this is the driver in second place. So he's deciding to come down in well before the halfway point. Not the earliest driver to come down in by any means, but he's shown his hand now, Luke. What is the response from Kevin Siggy in particular? Does he continue and try and at least get towards the halfway point on his own strategy? What does Moritz Lohner do to try and respond as well? Moritz Lohner has been flying out there, by the way. On that last lap alone, he eat into Siggy's lead by about 0.2 of a second. So the performance is still there for Moritz Lohner, so he might even be able to afford to stay out just that little while longer as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those where Lerner just didn't qualify well, did he? It's as simple as that. Because, you know, historically, we've already seen a qualifying session today, so we know what performance they can achieve. He just didn't achieve it in race number 2. Probably too busy drinking his champagne from the race win in race number 1. But yeah, as soon as he's got a bit of clear air here, he is absolutely flying towards Siggy. I think the Ferrari's struggling on tyres. I really do. I think when we get to this, is much a power circuit, right? So the BMW is going to be the stronger car. When it comes to technical circuits, I think over a short run, this Ferrari is going to be untouchable. But its tyre wear in the longer races is going to be a problem. That's from what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, that's my point of view as well. And there's the response from Siggy. He immediately, on the lap after Högfeldt, he comes out down on towards the pit lane. Does Lohner follow him? I don't think so. I wouldn't have thought so, and he does not. So at least one more lap for Moritz Lohner. There's no reason really to come down in if you're still setting blistering lap times, is there?
Yeah, but is this a case of we might be seeing a 2-stop strategy from some people? Because if you're coming in now, if you're struggling now, if you're Siggy, right? You got to do double what you've just done on your tyres. So is this a case we are going to see a double pit stop strategy here from a few drivers? I don't know whether that's is the drop off significant enough to warrant that.
I'm not sure. I mean, in other series, we do see a good handful of drivers always come down in early at the first opportunity and to have that second stint be the long stint, so to speak. But a 2-stop strategy in this sort of race, I don't think so. At least I wouldn't have thought so. If it is possible, then we might as well just throw out all the preparation we made before the broadcast and just say whatever. But two stops I think might be a bit too over-optimistic considering the race length.
Yeah, but your background's more iRacing, right? So they have a big drop-off, but there's no such thing as like punctures and stuff in iRacing. It just kind of just drops off. With race room, you get a puncture, you're done, you know? So it might be a case of the Ferraris have to. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. That's for sure. But yeah, Siggy's the only one who's coming. If everybody else dives in now, I think that there is the potential for it. The pit window would still be open in another 20 minutes time. It's going to be a 30-minute pit window by the looks of things. So there is the options here. Let's watch to see if everybody... I tell you what, the AMG did not look comfortable going on the power there on the exit, but not into the pit. So yeah, okay, Siggy's probably going to go for a long run here. And it was a case of, I think Lerner's catching me. It's a bit scary here. Let's go out there, pump in some really quick laps, just so I have track position when he does eventually pit.
Yeah, I'm going to keep a close eye on the lap times here because Lohner, he did a 1:41 flat that last time by. I'm waiting to see a representative lap time come in from those drivers that have come down on towards the pit lane. Of course, Siggy is coming towards the end of a lap right now. in relatively clear air. So this actually be a good baseline for us to have a look and see what the performance on the fresher tyres is for the Ferrari compared to the older tyres of the BMW. As long as this is a clean lap here, we should get a good representation from Kevin Siggy. So it was a 141 flat last time on all tyres for Moritz Lohner. What's the lap time going to be for Kevin Siggy across the line? As long as it's not invalid, we should be able to see, as it's, it's invalid. So we won't be able to tell until next lap.
Yeah, it's an out lap there, so it's going to be slower regardless, wasn't it? But now's the lap here. I just think that's what he's done here. He's just come in early just to go, do you know what? I need to pump in some laps just to guarantee I'm going to be ahead of Lerner on this stint. I think he could probably defend from the front then. I think if he waited any longer, Lerner was just going to catch him and maybe get track position, and then they both come in at the same time. It kills the chances of him winning the race. But coming in early, he already had that 3.5 second advantage. With fresh tyres now, he's going to be quicker. So it just means that once Lerner comes in, he will be really fast maybe in the last 10 minutes compared to Siggy, but the track position is already there for Siggy. I've got something really exciting, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are watching right now on YouTube, if you can hear me, I'm going to type in my Twitter @. I think this is the only way I'm really going to be able to do this. I've just been given a code for the DTM 2021 for Race Room. So if you go over to Twitter, follow me on Twitter, and I want you to just tweet me your favorite car from DTM history. So whatever, it could be any car from DTM history. So go and tweet me @ActrolVision on Twitter, and I will pick a winner at random during the broadcast, and then I'll DM you the code later on. Again, thank you very much to Race Room for providing us with a code. So, and that will work tonight. It's out tomorrow, but you will actually get early access to it tonight. I know, crazy. What a time to be alive.
I didn't get a code. Where do you get these codes?
I didn't get a code over. Don't worry about it.
I'm just like,
we've got this is a treat for the viewers.
I didn't even get a code to give away. You know, I want more followers on Twitter. @RapTrustcast, there we go. Probably link that in the chat as well. But Kevin Siggy across the line then. What lap time was it? It was 140.9, which is about a tenth and a half faster than Moritz Lohner was able to pull off that last lap. So that's a slight sign of a good thing for Kevin Siggy. However, I would have thought you'd be hoping for a little bit more of a delta than that.
Yeah, well, 100%. That's it's. I just think this is going to be fun, right? This is exactly what we want to see. We want it to be the smallest delta possible. We want it to be, 0.2 of a second as they come out the pits and they fight it out for to the death, effectively. Florian Hasse still not pit here. This is going to bode really, really well here. What's Hasse's lap times like, actually? So let's check Hasse's lap time out compared to Siggy's last one.
Well, for Hasse, it was an invalid last time, but it was in the 141s, so definitely not as good as what Moritz Lohner was able to pull out of the bag. So, yeah, for Hasse, maybe he's losing a little bit more to Siggy than what Lohner is losing to Siggy at the moment. I would say Lohner's still in a great spot right now, considering he's continuing with this long stint. For the end of the race, for the vast majority of the end of the race, he will be on the driver on fresher tyres. He'll be the one with the run of speed. And, well, we saw Siggy in the first race defend on equal tyres. He wasn't quite able to do it at the very end. What if there's a tyre differential now?
Yeah, I don't know. Crazy action here. Peter Pliska has come in early from 14th position, which is, he's not really going to be right in amongst it. I'm pretty surprised, actually, if we're going to, sorry to change the subject here, Connery. I'm really surprised at Pliska, to be honest. He's been someone that's just, over the last 12 months, really asserted himself on Race Room, but just hasn't kind of found that outrageous form as of yet. I guess he's gone for the AMG. Over the course of the calendar, is that car going to be able to produce something? There's a few of them have picked it for a reason, right? They're going to be strong somewhere. It's just whether they're going to be enough. So I'm a little bit shocked at his pace, really. But P17, he's going to gain some spots, I think, with people coming into the pits. But yeah, I just expected maybe a little bit more. But I guess maybe it's the car.
Yeah, possibly. But of course, this is the first round of the season. Maybe some teething issues for Peter Pliska in this situation. But yeah, still plenty of races to go. But at the same time, like I said at the start of the show, not all that many races, if you know what I mean. It's sort of doesn't make any sense in anyone's head, but that's just the way I'm going to phrase it for the moment here. Of course, we got a little bit of a lull in the race. Of course, this is sort of the situation where we have half the field that have yet to come down in. We have pretty much half the field with a slight majority that have come down on towards the pit lane for the moment. In fact, that majority is going to grow as Julian Fox and Manuel Rodriguez will head their way in to the safety of pit lane for now. Now there's a whole bunch of waiting to be able to see how these sort of strategies pan out. So again, Moritz Lohner 141 flat that last time by. If we have a look back to the driver of Kevin Siggy, it was not. Actually, it was a 140.9, so another couple of tenths of a second taken out by Kevin Siggy. However, that advantage is just going to flip on its head as soon as Lohner comes down towards the pit lane.
Yeah, but Siggy can't afford to go flat out, right? Because he's got to save the tyres for later on in the race. So any time gained right now is a positive, but he has to be in a half-decent position when it comes to later on in this race. So Lohner in a great spot. I think Lerner's favourite to win this, to be honest, because he is going to have the last 10 minutes here. I feel like Siggy his pace is going to drop off significantly, whereas Lohner is yet to even change tyres, and he's still lapping very, very quickly. He's only 2/10 off of Siggy with fresh tyres. So yeah, Lerner is in a phenomenal spot here. We've got Rachel, who's currently up into P4 out of nowhere. Another AMG just doing its stuff. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, DTM Esports really showing what they're made of here in the endurance race. At least as it runs, with the slight differences in strategy. It's DTM Esports 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. But of course, that's mostly because the strategy is yet to come full circle, so to speak. Of course, I've seen the pointing out the flags out there. Of course, Kripner not actually the Ukrainian. He is, of course, German, but of course showing some solidarity there. With the choice of flag, which is good to see. But we're coming up towards the halfway point of this race now, Luke, and still a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns. Again, it's one of those, isn't it? When you've got a pit window, you really don't know what the look of the race is going to be until everybody's done their pit stop. So 32 minutes left on the clock. We're waiting for Lerner, Hasser, Kripner, Rachel, Nagy. We are waiting for... Well, there's a couple of cars right down the back of the order that we're not going to see pit because they are no longer in the race, are we? Which is a bit of a shame for them. But yeah, where does Siggy come out in all of this? I tell you what, we're talking about Siggy, but what about Hugveld? He is still only 3 seconds behind, and he was, 6 seconds behind at one point? He is absolutely flying.
Yeah, it's been great. That last lap, though, we can't tell what it was because it was an invalid lap, which doesn't help. I wish Race Room would change that. Still give you the lap time, but showing in red or something that shows it's invalid, not just the words invalid on my timing screen. Yeah, for Christopher Hugveld, this is still a very, very positive situation, especially compared to the previous event in that sprint race, of course, where it wasn't the best of times, shall we say, for Christopher Hugveld. He finished in P9 in that particular event. P8 in this race right now, of course, waiting for the rest of the stops to come through. It is looking pretty good. Of course, he's effectively, you can judge it, second, third place at the moment. That's the situation here for Hugveld as he pushes his way to the runoff on Variante Alta there just a little bit. There we go, though. Moritz Lohner is in.
Here we go. Here we go then. This is where we're going to find out. Lerner will be behind Siggy, we think. It'd be very interesting if he wasn't. Hasser's trying to extend this even a bit further, so he's going to be super quick by the end. And here is our net race leader, we think. So Kevin Siggy, who was leading once the pit stop phase started, and there is Moritz Lerner leaving the pits here again. He's on the pit limiter. As you can hear, Siggy's just gone past him, and it is going to be a fair chunk of change in terms of the lead, but he is going to be into some serious trouble in terms of his tyres, the same as Hugveld. Hugveld currently in second. He actually is, again, net second. Of course, there's 5 drivers yet to pit. But Lerner, he is lurking. He's there or thereabouts. His qualifying wasn't great. He started 7th. But I tell you what, he is looking very strong for this race. It may look like he's a long way back, but his tyres are brand new right now. And, well, look at this. Big mistake there from Hugveld. He's feeling the pressure of a DTM Esports champion behind him, that's for sure. But he should catch these drivers, especially with 10, 15 minutes to go, very quickly indeed.
Yeah, I think so as well. These Ferraris, these tyres aren't going to last too long. At least for the rest of the stint, the last couple of laps, like you said, are going to be pretty sketchy for them. Of course, like you said, we don't have any tyre wear multiplier on, so it shouldn't be incredibly bad for them. But however, it's more about the difference between the Ferrari on all tyres and the BMW on some relatively newer tyres. That's going to be the big factor here in this one. So Moritz Lohner, of course, you'll take this lap to make sure those tyres are in the right place. We've got temperatures and pressures, and now that Door Esports, potentially over this next lap or so, will start trying to reel in the Swedish driver ahead of him.
Yeah, 100%. I think what the real interesting factor here is going to be how long is it going to take for Lohner to get past Högfeldt. If, he takes his time, there's every reason to suggest that he may still be able to go out and win this race. So, yeah, it's not all done and dusted yet. We kind of expect Lohner to, maybe not now, but over the next 10 minutes, start to really, really improve in terms of his lap times. But as it stands, it's balanced really nicely on a knife edge here. A few shout-outs. Again, if you guys would like to win yourself some DTM code for DTM 2021. It comes out tomorrow. I will be sending it to you on Twitter today if it indeed gets picked by me. So again, basically, whoever picked my favorite car is going to win, I think. It's not been well planned, guys. We'll be doing more giveaways across this championship where it'll be much better planned. But yeah, we've got a DTM 2021 code that will be given out today. So if you want to follow me at ActroVision, you can see my tag in the YouTube chat. It is indeed on Twitter, and just tweet me your favorite car of all time. Let's do a shout out to a few people who've got involved. Lexar, he said, I love the good old BMW M3 E30. Yes, those cars sound incredible. Luca, the Alpha 155 V6, hands down. That is the loudest car I have ever seen in my life, by the way. It is, or heard. My favorite DTM car ever is the 1994 Alfa Romeo V6, another one from Manda. And we've got Matti Vargas, who's done the 92 Mustang GT. DTM was so good. Another loud car there. We've got Mr. Git, who said only one season, but that was enough. The Aston Martin. Yeah, of course, beautiful looking car there. It just looks, it's like a GT3, and then you've got the bottom of the car that just doesn't look anything like the GT3 because of the skirts on it and the big rear wing. It's a crazy, crazy car. Anyway, but back to the battle on circuit here, Connery. He has caught him. So this is now a major part of this race. I don't think Högfeldt can hold this BMW up for too long. But how long can he hold him up for Kevin Siggy? Siggy needs it to be for a good couple of laps here.
Yeah, this is absolutely crucial. If Högfeldt can defend this move for one, if not two laps, then that really compromises Lohner's race as he heads his way towards the outside through turn number 1 of Tamburello. Högfeldt will try and fight it for all it's worth. He still has the inside. There's a little bit of contact between the two, and Högfeldt remains ahead.
Yeah, we've heard nothing about the contacts we've had in this race as well. So there's not been any penalties that's shown up on our screen as of yet. So I'm assuming they've been put down as racing incidents. Again, we only had one view of it, so we can't, distinguish between it as a commentator. But yeah, so it looks like however it finishes here, we are good to go. As Högfeldt there slides that car out like he's Sebastian Loeb, and it was, well, effectively a Scandinavian flick, the Swede, pulling it out of the bag there, and of course, being Swedish, he was born with the ability to do that. As we come then over the top of the hill, down into Acqua Minerale, and Moritz Lohner has not been able to get the job done, and the more importantly is, it's not even a case of Siggy is, the gap staying the same, because these two are battling. Lohner's losing so much time to Siggy. So Siggy, with that early pit stop, it still may play out to be the best strategy.
Högfeldt and Siggy may not be teammates, however, Högfeldt is Siggy's best friend at the moment. Of course, Högfeldt, this is all within his own interests as well. If he can fend off Lohner for 25 minutes like this, I would be very impressed and would call it the best defensive drive I've ever seen. However, I'm not thinking it's at all likely. I think it's delaying the inevitable here is Christopher Högfeldt, and now you can see Moritz Lohner is much closer coming off that final corner. We'll have a better run here in towards Tamburello for this time, and he might get it done this time, but never say never. Högfeldt might have something up his sleeve.
Yeah, well, he has to. It's as simple as that. And hopefully it's another Ferrari to make it too wide up his sleeve. But I don't think there is. And again, this is exactly what Lohner did in race 1 to win it. And he's gone and done exactly the same once again here. But Högfeldt keeps that nose in. It's not going to be enough. It's brilliant from Lohner. And Lohner, of course, our current champion of the DTM Esports, showcasing exactly why he has that number 1 on his car. Now he's have to chase down Siggy for, what, part 2 today? Yeah. I am absolutely all for this, Connery. This is going to be great.
So what, the gap between them is just about 4.5 seconds at the moment between Siggy and Lona, and we saw how quickly Lona was able to lock onto the back of Högfeldt, so I think that gap has the potential to come down rather quickly here in this one. So Siggy has to be very, very careful, you know, inside the final 5 minutes of this race. Lona might be all over the back of him, so for Siggy, he's got to make sure he has some form of tyre performance for those latter portions of the race once he gets involved in an active fight with Moritz Lona. He needs that to be able to try and keep him behind. Of course, we saw Högfeldt fend off Moritz Lona for 1 lap. Kevin Siggy, if it's a final lap deal, he only needs to repeat that and he'll come across the line as the winner. But yeah, this is potentially going to get pretty sketchy in the next last 24 minutes of this race. By the way, Michael Raschel down on towards the pit lane, and guess who hasn't pitted yet? Hasse, Krippner, Bodin. They are still out there. They'll be going like a bat out of hell in the final portions of this race as well.
Yeah, for sure. They will be so fast. Again, pitting this late, it just means you've got fresh tyres. You can go, 100% the whole time round, whereas Siggy has probably had to take a couple of tenths off each lap just to make sure that he's got something left at the end, because it's inevitable, I think, that Lerner's going to be right behind him. Hasse here, he will have to come in the next 8 minutes. The pit window will close. And if you haven't pit, you're done for. It's a DNF. So, yeah, he will come in very, very shortly. Also, just to let everyone know about this giveaway in the chat, sorry it's all rushed and whatnot. I didn't plan it. We should be planning it. We've had confirmation that we will be doing more giveaways across this whole season. So yeah, don't worry. There'll be like a proper hashtag. It won't be you having to follow me or anything like that. It will be properly done next time round. We're just doing something nice because DTM is coming out tomorrow, the 2021 cars. So if you want to get your hands on it tonight, you know what to do. So Isaac Price now is kind of, the cork in the bottle as it stands, which is something you don't really say too often about him. He's got Marco Pajic in behind, and then Gianmarco Fiducci, who's in behind. They've all been battling for a top 5 at some point during this race. It's going to be interesting to see where they filter in terms of the 3 that have yet to pit. I think like Hasse, Krippner, they will be around this kind of mark probably. I'm sure we're about to find out. So I think Hasse's into the pit.
Yeah, Hasse comes down in now, and yeah, we'll see where he comes out in relation in this battle in particular. Of course, 3 different manufacturers involved in this battle at the moment, with the BMW leading them, with the Mercedes in the middle and the Ferrari at the rear. Krippner has come down in. Hasse has also come down in at this stage as well. Florian Bodin continuing out there as one of your wildcard drivers, continuing to try and put laps on that initial point. And yeah, he does lead at least 1 lap.
Yeah, the MediaMarkt car being a Ferrari for Bodin, it leads here in the DTM Esports 2022. So we've got Ferrari leading. He is yet to pit still. Siggy is in second. Then we've got Lerner. Oh, it's easy, isn't it? That is, well, Pajic has dropped up or moved up position. Price in the top 5. Again, Price is just one of those drivers that just gets it done. If there's an opportunity to find some positions, he just gets it done. And I think he'll probably be in P4 eventually once all is said and done. So brilliant stuff here from Isaac Price. Again, the privateer, just working on his own in this championship, which is something you rarely would say about someone like Isaac, but he is doing a very stellar job indeed. Marco Pajic, again, he is the lead driver outside of the Mercedes, outside of the BMW and Ferrari battle. Again, those 2 cars have been the most chosen car. Pliska, the next AMG down the list. So Pajic has done a sensational job, and he got a decent points haul in race number 1. Just getting any points is always good to start things off, but it's going to be a massive points haul in race number 2, and you assume that AMG is going to be faster around a few of the other circuits. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been chosen, in my honest opinion. Price still leads this little group of cars. But yeah, shout out to Bodin. Let's get Bodin on camera. Deserves it. Wildcard entrant. He's staying out still. But he's got himself a couple of laps led here. He is represented Deutsche Payment Esports. And yeah, he qualified via the wildcard way of getting into this championship, which was not what we covered in our streams, but it was actually held out at the Nürburgring GP layout. They had some sim rigs set up there. They had 11 or 12 drivers, all there in the DTM BMW M4 GT4 car, so the car that they use for the trophy, so the BMW M4 trophy car, and they all had the same car. And yeah, these 3 were the 3 that got it done. They actually had Moritz Lerner and Marcel Kiefer on the commentary. You keep racing, Marcel. You keep racing. there, Moritz. We don't want you taking our jobs. That's fine. You guys crack on with the racing. But yeah, they were commentating on it. It was a really cool event. It was a nice avenue for these drivers to come and get involved. It's really nice to see one of our wildcard drivers, albeit because of the strategy, out there in the lead in the Ferrari. As we see Isaac Price then, he's got Pajic there all over the rear of that BMW, but luckily it is a BMW M6, which is, as everybody knows, the widest car in the history of motorsport. Actually, no, probably second, because the M8 is pretty wide as well. But yeah, this M6 in this class of field is basically like trying to pass a bus that's got the same pace as you. Not ideal. Up the hill we come. Pajic will have to indeed try and seize an opportunity a little bit later in the lap time. You've got that Ferrari in the background there, which you would imagine is probably the faster of these two cars at this stage, because he pit a little bit later. So we'll have better tyres.
Yeah, so for Fiducci, this these might be positions for the taking. Of course, still has to deal with that straight line speed difference compared to the BMW, who won't be getting as much of a run as him, but maybe on the Mercedes still might be a possibility in this situation. I've been keeping an eye on the gap between Siggy and Lohner. Last we mentioned it was 4.5 seconds. Now it's down to less than 3.5 seconds between Kevin Siggy and Moritz Lohner. So Lohner's doing a good job to try and catch in the effective race leader at the moment. Of course, we're still waiting for Florian Bowden to head his way down in, and I think he has actually come down in right about now. So Kevin Siggy will re-inherit the race lead, and you can see a representative gap at the top of the order, 3.6 between Siggy and Lohner, as we got this battle going on for P4 and back.
Yeah, we do. Bowden comes into the pits. Then again, a very good showing from, he's our lead wildcard driver, and I think that's something we need to look out, who's going to be the kind of wildcard champion as well, because it was a completely different way of qualifying through. And yeah, it's a long pit lane here, especially when you've got to put some tyres on. But we'll be able to go 100% for the next 18 minutes, which is always a bit of a bonus. Onto this battle here then, Isaac Price now P4. It's going to take a big mistake from someone up ahead for him to get a podium, but ultimately, he's just got to try and keep hold of B4. He's got a lot of pressure from behind here. We're on board with Marco Pajic then, and then just in behind them we have got Gianmarco Fiducci. Fordzilla, Veloce versus Isaac Price Privateer. And well, it's going to go down to the wire, that's for sure. It's really going to be about who has saved the tyres the best when it comes down to that last 5 minutes. Last 3 laps, really, if they've got anything to defend with. Siggy, 3.3 seconds is the advantage. That is coming down very quickly indeed. I think we are going to see a battle for the lead here in the next 17 minutes. Hoekveld, though, as much as Lerner got past and built a gap up very, very quickly, Hoekveld seemed to have steadied the ship here a little bit and actually is chasing him down. Is that the case of Lerner has decided, you know what, my tyres will go off by the end of this. Let's just catch up to Siggy, not straight away. Let's take our time with it and potentially then make the move at the end with better tyres.
Well, Siggy has had the luxury, at least in the initial portions of this second half of the event, basically, to be able to run his own pace. He had no one around him, no one ahead, no one behind pressuring him. He was just able to run his own event and keep those tyres in good condition. Lohner, on this second stint, he hasn't had that luxury because he had to try and push, he had to try and catch Hoekveld, he had to get past Hoekveld, and now he technically has to try and push to try and catch Siggy as well. So, so the tyre is going to be a little bit more interesting for him, as we saw a little bit of a look from Pajic ahead on Isaac Price, not committing to the move just yet. That big slide through the corner as well.
Yeah, we saw that earlier on where a car completely lost it, didn't they? From making that small mistake. That was Krippner, I believe. So yeah, it's so easy. You hit the curb too much there. You've got your loud pedal down, and ultimately, if your wheels are in the air, your wheels are going to have no friction, so they're going to be rotating too fast for the car once it does hit the ground again. And if you're just slightly too much input with the steering wheel, the rear would just go, see you later, like a happy dog. The tail wants to, the head wants to chase the tail, and yeah, you swap around. So yeah, Pajic saves it. Isaac Price has just been able to, grab himself a couple of extra tenths of a second, which at this stage of the race is absolutely massive. Moritz Lerner now 2.7 behind. It's almost half a second a lap at this stage of the race, which is absolutely massive. You're looking at what, 5 laps from now? He will catch up, and then he will have around about 5, maybe 6 laps to actually go and attack Siggy. So yeah, it's looking very, very good for the German, our current champion. But Siggy, if there's one driver in this world that can just up his level when he needs to, it is indeed Kevin Siggy. This guy is genuinely one of the very best, if not pound for pound, the best out there, I would say at the moment. I think there's 3 drivers that we could maybe say that, maybe 4. I think we're talking Joshua Rogers. I think we're talking James Baldwin. I think we're talking Erhan Yayovsky and Kevin Siggy. I think those 4 are just overall you know, across multiple titles, the very best out there. I think Lerner is just about getting to that level over the course of multiple titles, but Race Room, this is his playhouse. This is Lerner's playground. He will want to get the win here and start off his defense of his championship, right? The right way. 2 wins, it'd be great.
Yeah, it would be absolutely fantastic, and well, it will be a bit of a change of pace compared to the previous DTM Esports events that he's taken part in so far in 2022. It's not been going at all well for him, so this would be a great benefit to get one into the bag and to make sure that he doesn't have an absolutely awful 2022. But this Alpha P4 is still bubbling along quite nicely. Isaac Price still leads with Pajic and Fiduci second and third in the line. So we're going to have a battle for the race lead. We'll have the battle in this region of the circuit as well. There's going to be a lot to look at in the final 15 minutes of this one, I get the feeling. Gap between the race leaders come down to 2.2 seconds now, just edging over 2.3 as the natural variations in lap time come through. But Pajic getting a very good run off of Acqua Minerale there. Variante Alta is not really an overtaking point, so despite the good run, you can't really do anything into here.
Yeah, well, the only way it is for Fiduci, I would say. If you try and if Pajic tries to make a move there on Price, it's Fiduci that will probably gain the spots. It's that kind of corner, isn't it? I tell you what, Fiduci is very, very close here. And this is a really nice dynamic because Isaac Price has been around forever. Pajic has been around for a good couple of years. You've got Fiduci, who's relatively new to the top end of sim racing. So we've got all 3 echelons of the spectrum, and right now it's the old bull leading the young calf. So good to see Isaac Price still performing at the level that we do come to expect from him. And I'm sure he's got his lucky leather jacket on as well as he's racing, because that thing brings him a whole heap of luck.
Yeah, he was one of the competitors in the first ever World's Fastest Gamer, I believe it was. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the grand prize at the end of that. That was, of course, Rudy Van Buren, which is another famous sim racer that you might know at home. But
whatever happened to Rudy? Whatever happened to him?
What happened to him? We'll never know. But but for these guys, of course, you know, they do want to get to that level where they're able to come top in championships like this one and go for glory. Of course, you know, for these guys, with just inside the top 5 here, you know, they're within the right margin in terms of points to be able to get that chance to be able to at least have that trial in the DTM trophy car at the end of the season. But it's going to take quite a lot of effort from these guys.
But that's the thing, that's the interesting dynamic about this competition. It is the top 5 that will advance to a sighting session during the DTM season. So they'll be invited to, and again, it's not confirmed which race it is as of yet, but they will be invited to a race during this season. And the best candidate, once they've been judged and, you know, they'll be put through a few tests and stuff, they will then pick the winner themselves, who will get a full DTM 2023 DTM trophy, fully paid season. So it's just super, super exciting here. We've got that opportunity. Of course, we've got many drivers that have come through the ranks of sim racing to make it to this point. None more so than Tim Heineman. Tim Heineman indeed came from the race room background, and he won the DTM trophy inaugural season. Last season, we had Ben Green, who actually sim races in a Ginetta GT4 shell that he had a crash in when he was a youngster. As we see a potential move here by Marco Pajic. He's going to try and take a page out of Moritz Lerner's book. Not quite going to work out. Isaac Price, though, defends it valiantly. He's just about going to hold on, has that inside line. BMW power should get him out of jail here. We head down in towards 4 and 5. But yeah, Tim Heineman, inaugural champion. Ben Green, last season's champion for 2021. Again, he has that big sim rig at home. He does a lot of sim racing himself. He was battling with Will Tregurtha, who is, you know, racing in all of the biggest sim racing competitions in the world, most notably the Le Mans Esports series that we saw merely a couple of months ago. It was running for the last sort of 8 months. And, you know, other drivers like Moritz Lerner. Moritz Lerner got his seat because of sim racing. So sim racing is a massive, massive step in the right direction now towards actually getting into the real world. There's a lot of people out there that want that transition to happen. But there's also equally a lot of people out there that just want to be the best sim racer in the world as well. So there's the best of both worlds. So you get that opportunity, but also you're known as the best, you know, driver within this class of car, within this game. So yeah, there's lots of different ways of looking at it. Come then up towards that final chicane, come down in towards Ravazza here with 10 minutes 42 seconds to go. It is Siggy by 1.4 seconds to Moritz Lerner. We are going to see that battle, Connery, and look at that, there it is. He is absolutely chasing him down. Siggy's going to see that in his rearview mirror now, and Siggy's not the type of driver to get flustered, but the fact that he knows about the tyre situation here, that might be a cause for change.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one for Siggy. If he's able to hold off Lona here for the laps that we have remaining, then this will be one of the most incredible wins that he's probably pulled off throughout the entirety of his career. He's certainly up against it. He's certainly the underdog, I get the feeling. Even though we have 10 minutes left, the gap is still over a second. As soon as Lona gets within that slipstream range, which he'll do probably at the end of this lap, he will be reeling him in so much. And Siggy, well, the ball will be in his court then. It's going to have to be how wide can he make a Ferrari?
Yeah, I don't think he needs to. I think it's a case of the top 5 go through, right? He's already got P2 today. If he gets another P2, it's not the worst thing in the world. You're going to be at least P2 in the championship because Lerner is the driver that's won both races. So you're guaranteed P2 in the championship. It doesn't matter if you finish P1 or P5. I guess when it comes to the sighting session, it will go in your favor that you potentially won, I guess. So there is that as well. But for me, I think it's a case of you don't want to defend too hard. You don't want to put yourself in a position of potentially gathering penalties. So I think that you just let it happen. It's very obvious he's quicker. It's almost by a second a lap now. As we see here, Fiducci under a lot of pressure at the back of this little train. Fiducci has got Hasser, who pit very late as well, so he's going to be very quick. He was leading the race for quite a long period of time because he stayed out so late. And with 9 minutes to go, he probably will make pretty easy work of all 3 of these cars.
Yeah, we'll see about that as they head their way down the hill into the 2 Ravazzas at the very end of the lap here at Imola. And Hasser, he'll be able to carry the momentum through these medium-speed left-handers better than everyone else ahead due to that fresher rubber, and he'll get the good drive off as well to be able to help him out. Whether or not he'll be able to make a move in towards turn number 1, he might be able to get one done over Fiducci. We'll just watch this one run through. That BMW closing up, looking to the inside. Can't quite get it done, or at least doesn't want to go for the almighty send down the inside there. He remains in line. But yeah, this is potentially going to be a whole bunch of fun for Florian Hasser as he's up against cars that are on much older tyres. He's going to be looking down the inside here once again. Can't quite get it done in towards Villeneuve, but the exit of Villeneuve is going to work out in his favour with a slight mistake from Fiducci, and that's one done already.
Yeah, look at the traction that BMW is able to gather on the exit of the corner. Just goes to show that tyre wear is going to be a massive factor during this whole championship. So, yeah, a lot of learning curves for drivers here. It looks like Siggy, again, he's not being caught as quickly as he once was. Is it a case of that he was saving something for this period of race? He knows this was going to happen at some point. It's just all about whether he can just hold on here. I don't think he can. I think 7.5 minutes is going to be far too long with Moritz Lerner. I think anyone else behind him, potentially it's on. But yeah, Lerner is just a wily old fox when it comes to this point. And what a performance it would have been today. Because not only did he have to overtake Siggy in the first race to win it, he's had to come from P7 in this race if he is to go on and win this. Even if he finishes in P2, he is the form driver right now because he's able to make overtakes and he's able to just make progress during races.
Siggy got good launch out of the final corner there, so not going to gain as much time on this little, long pit straight than he might have been able to as Moritz Lerner. Gap still over a second by the time they get into the braking zone for Tamburello. So Siggy, I think he's sort of practicing at the moment, practicing trying to get that run out of the final corner because he knows if he's able to nail that every single time, it makes Lerner's life more difficult once he gets close enough to have a look down the inside. So as we look further behind, because we've got action going on, Marco Paet's all sorts of out of shape.
Oh, that's a massive mistake there. I think Lerner's just made a big, massive mistake as well, to be completely honest with you. He jumped over the curbs there. It looks like by the delta he's 9/10 behind still, but that has definitely cost him some time for sure. But yeah, we saw there Paet's just trying to take a chance really. I think it's a case of you want to attack the car in front, just have a bit of insurance because you know Hasser's so fast behind. Hasser in that blue BMW there, number 87. Changed tyres so much later than everybody else. For people watching at home, if you're just tuned in and you're like, why is that BMW so much faster? The tyres are just in such better nick at this stage of the race, especially through this middle sector. So the AMG here is kind of a case of, look, I can probably defend for 5 minutes if I can get one car between us. But Paet, you can see they're snaking on the exit of Acqua Minerale as they come up towards that final chicane. I think it's going to be like taking sweets from a baby, effectively. But can they work together? It's almost a case of they've been battling each other, Pajic now and Price. Can they work together significantly enough to now stop Hasser getting both of them? The lead's still 9/10 of a second. Siggy, this is where he comes into his own. When he's under some severe pressure, he finds something extra. Right now, he is finding something extra.
He is. It's been a very good past couple of laps. He's in the 1:40.7 at the moment, which is definitely not too shabby in terms of pace on older tyres in the Ferrari. He still has it, and Moritz Lohner has to try and find a response. He is edging him in a little bit closer, bit by bit per lap, about 1/10 of a second or so. And of course, the closer Lohner gets, the more of the effects of the slipstream he will feel to that Ferrari ahead as well. So it just gets worse and worse for Kevin Siggy as the battle for P4. We have to have eyes on the back of our heads here. We have to have eyes everywhere because we might have action for the very front. We might have action here as well.
Oh yeah, well here we go. Hasser dive up the inside in towards the hairpin, hits the apex perfectly. Pajic is forced to go out wide there. Maybe a little bit of door bang in there, nothing too crazy, but actually, in all fairness, it's had an adverse effect on Hasser. Look at Finucci. Finucci's got a little bit of an overlap, not quite going to be close enough, I don't think. And no, he's not, but that, he nearly took full advantage there to come over Piratella. And that was nearly Hasser trying to take one step forward, but ultimately nearly going 2 steps back. And he's in the same position. Siggy is again now being caught here. 4 minutes to go in this race, 3 laps remaining. And I'm going to say it, I did say that it was going to be 3 laps to go here where Lerner will really go at it. And I think that might be the case here. Siggy in that very famous red line livery. Can he produce one more moment of magic this week? Is he capable of doing so with the tyres underneath that Ferrari? 6/10 of a second is the advantage. That BMW should close up very quickly indeed. And well, it's almost going to be a case of Lerner will know what Siggy had for breakfast. He's going to be that close in a minute as we come up then towards turn number 1. And there we go. Oh, crikey. Look how much later he can brake. The tyres are in such better nick. And yeah, as soon as he gets an opportunity here, it's going to be very, very easy. But if you're Moritz Lerner, you've got to be patient here. Don't just make the move and force it for the sake of it. You've got to absolutely be patient with this and get it done cleanly.
Yeah, you do. Lohner, you can see how much more speed he's able to carry in through the chicanes there, looking to try and get the traction off of Toaster. The advantage goes to the Ferrari that time, funnily enough, so Siggy keeps himself ahead for now. We will have a brief little look back to this battle for P4 because this is all sorts of going on here as we see Price and Hasser and Pajic all involved in this on their way through Toaster. This is absolutely crazy stuff, but we will focus on the race lead here, Luke. It's coming up to 2.5 minutes to go. Can Siggy hold on to this?
Yeah, it's going to be 2 laps remaining here. Effectively, it becomes a real sprint race. But it is the BMW that has the advantage here. It has the better tyres by about 20 minutes because we have Siggy and the Ferrari who came in with, 20 minutes done in this race? He had 40 minutes. He's going to be, by the end of this race, have done 40 minutes on the tyres, whereas Lerner would have done 18 so far. So, yeah, almost double in terms of tyre wear on Siggy's car. So can Lerner close the gap here? Look at the traction getting out there. Again, Siggy just seems to be able to make something work on the exit of that final corner. I just don't think it's enough, though. Look at this BMW close up. They come across the start-finish line. And actually, is he going to be close enough? I don't think he is. We saw him being able to outbrake Siggy quite significantly down towards turn number 1 last time round. And this is how he did it in race number 1. He took the outside line. He's already done it once today in this race. And Siggy is not going to leave that room again here. And while with 1.5 laps to go now, that's the biggest overtaking opportunity. And well, Siggy can chalk that up to, I'm still in the lead here. And well, can you do it one more time? There's still plenty of overtaking opportunities around this circuit, but that is the most prominent, I would say. Look at the slide there. Siggy's on the absolute limit of the car. He takes that real defensive line then through the hairpin. And well, can Moritz Lerner get on this power really, really early? And again, the Ferrari is able to lay that power down.
Yeah, this is surprising considering we saw the opposite in the sprint race. Siggy knows what he needs to do now. He's absolutely nailed the exit to these corners, and that might be his saving grace as he takes the runoff through Piratella there, the left-hander, the very fast left-hander in the middle of the lap. Look at how close Lerner's overcommitted. That loses him a bit of time, and his last opportunity to get a move done into turn number 1 is coming up. So that is absolutely huge. Siggy, he might have been given a gift.
Yeah, I think he has been. Siggy, again, just keeping it between the mayo and the mustard, keeping it on that racing line and forcing Moritz Lerner to produce some magic. That's the difference here. He's forcing Lerner to just go outside of his comfort zone. And as it stands, again, the BMW is going to be able to brake a lot later here than the Ferrari. He's got a big enough advantage here. We know that he gets really good traction out of the final corner, regardless of whether he's got bubblegum tyres or not. Siggy is doing what Siggy does. One lap remains here, ladies and gentlemen, and it comes down to this. Can Moritz Lerner, our current DTM Esports champion, winner from race number 1, had to make the overtake on Siggy in race number 1 as well, in the same fashion as we're seeing him try right now. Can he indeed do it one more time? Less than a lap to go here, and he makes another mistake there. Siggy forcing the issue. His strategy call to go in early right now is working. Hoogveld P3, Price still holding on to P4. Hasser is right behind him as well. Pajic then is also in close proximity in P6. Fiducci, and we've now got Ottaviani joined onto the back of that group there. So there's a battle for P4. Let's just very momentarily check that out as we've got the middle sector here. The Ferrari's going to be quick through there. Yeah, Hasser is not catching up to Isaac Price. Isaac Price is the wily old fox, although he does dip it into the gravel there. That's going to have slowed him down, takes that defensive line. Hasser has got the overlap around the outside. Will Price leave the room on the outside? He has had to leave the room around the outside here. Florian Hasser has not got the overlap anymore. Isaac Price just about getting enough traction out of that corner up the hill here. Hasser trying to force Price offline, but again, it's not going to work out. Pajic putting the pressure on there potentially for a P4 himself. Over the final chicane we go, struggling for any kind of traction here for Kevin Siggy, but it looks like if he can just negotiate the final 2 corners here at Imola, will take a victory here in the DTM Esports 2022. Moritz Lerner patiently waiting for a mistake. I don't think it's quite going to be enough here. And I tell you what, I thought Lerner had this all day long and twice on Sundays. It's not quite going to work out. Kevin Siggy went into the pits early. What a strategy call it was. The Team Redline driver is going to take victory here in race 2 of the DTM Esports 2022. In his second position for Moritz Lerner. Great drive from him. Hoogveld then is going to take P3, but look at his train of cars. Isaac Price, the price is right, as he will take P4. We've then got Florian Hasser, who is going to take P5. Pajic is in P6. Fiducci in P7. And Ottaviani then does take P8. Krippner and Dinya are your top 10.
My, oh my, what a tension-filled last couple of laps of this race. That was absolutely crazy. Moritz Lerner, I think it was the mistakes at the end there that sealed his fate. He had the tyre performance, he had the opportunities. But on that second to last lap, that little issue coming out of Vacuum Minerale in towards Variante Alta, that sealed it. He couldn't get those extra tenths of a second back to be able to make that move on the start of the final lap in towards turn number 1. And we saw how strong Siggy was everywhere else on this circuit here today. What a race win for Kevin Siggy for Team Redline by less than half a second.
Yeah, it's 0.4 of a second, then Siggy to Lerner, Hoogveld third, Price, Hasser, Pajic, Fiducci, Ottaviani, Krippner, and Dinya are your top 10. An incredible performance from all of those 10 drivers. We go a little bit further back then. It's Pliska, it's Raschel. We've then got Dorniden, Pfeiffer, Vermeulen, who qualified really well in race number 1. It's just not had the best of finishes in terms of the actual races. Gassner, Nagy, Keithley, Hinches, and Bodin does get a couple of points then as our lead wildcard driver. We then head to what will be the rest of the group, and actually it's the second wildcard driver in P21 will get a point as well. Fox then our final wildcard driver, P22. Then we've got Pringer, Whitver, Rodriguez, Markovic, Jarschel, Rudiger, and Wanner, who are all DNFs. Connery, what an unbelievable race. Kevin Siggy versus Moritz Lerner. Do I want to see more of that? Absolutely. Take my money.
That was incredible. I was on the edge of my seat for the entirety of those final 4 or 5 laps there. That was crazy because you saw Lerner, you saw him close in bit by bit by bit, and you know he just about got there. He had an opportunity that was defended by Kevin Siggy, and it was only that one defense that was needed because Lerner bottled it in that second to last lap there, made the crucial error, allowed Siggy to have enough of a buffer. And then Siggy takes the race win for the first endurance race of the season in the 2022 DTM Esports Championship.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Again, you know, you can say the same about the whole top 10. Strategy was a huge call from all of them, and some came in early, some came in late. So it worked for some, it didn't work for others. It was something that really is going to be fun to watch over the course of the rest of the season. I need to just get my breath back here momentarily. I think Connery is absolutely the same here. So we're just going to go for a very quick commercial break and have some messages from our partners. But wow, what a show we've had so far.
Auto Hero ist dein Online-Shop für Gebrauchtwagen. Wir verkaufen nur Autos aus unserem eigenen Bestand. Jedes ist von unseren Kfz-Experten general überholt und rundum aufbereitet. Und du erhältst 1 Jahr Garantie. So unbeschwert kann Autokauf sein. Finde jetzt dein Auto bei Auto Hero.
Watch me as I go. Should I look both ways before you cross me, babe? 'Cause I don't break for boys. I'm moving on. So sad, let's be on my way. Let's stop luck. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
So there you have it. Tomorrow, DTM 2021, including those beautiful Ferraris, comes to Race Room. And well, we had a giveaway running throughout the stream today. We will have a proper one next time round. I can promise you that. We just didn't have it planned properly, to be fair. The winner is Manda. You've already had it sent to you. And well, they sent me their favorite car ever was the Alfa Romeo 1994 V6. And again, I've had the pleasure of commentating on that car. It's actually an ITC car as well. In 1996 is the year that the car that I've been commentating on in the DTM Classics, and it's the loudest car I've ever heard. It is the most ridiculous thing ever. So yeah, congratulations and enjoy. Have a few laps tonight. Why not? Right, Connery, we're not going to mess around here. We're not going to stand here all night talking. We are going to now show you exactly how the standings of this championships are after 2 races here at Imola. So here we go. It is Moritz Lerner that leads by 1 point. Kevin Siggy is on 76 in second spot. So yeah, that it comes down to the qualifying points being added as well. Fastest lap award goes to Moritz Lerner, a 140.291. That was done in the races as well. So yeah, congratulations to him. Isaac Price in third spot. The guy just knows how to get things done. He's on 51 points. We've got Leonard Krippner on 48. Christopher Hugveld, who had an incredible race number 2. Remember, his race 1 didn't go well, but the fact that he got it done in race 2 means he is in that top 5, and then we've got a 2-way tie. Florian Hasser is on 45 points. 45 then for Alessandro Ottaviani. Gianmarco Fiducci is on 42. 29 each then for Marco Pajic and Axel Vermeulen. So that is your top 10 heading into the next one. Let's check out then the calendar for this year so you guys know when to tune in to the DTM Esports 2022. We've just had Imola. We then go to the Norris Ring, which is on the 24th of March. So wherever you've been watching it today, just make sure you've got that subscribed to it so you can watch once again. Then we head to the Lausitz Ring on the 7th of April. And then in April, it's just, well, it's fun time April by the looks of things, because we've got Lausitz Ring, we've got Spa-Francorchamps, Red Bull Ring, and Portimao. Hashtag we love DTM, baby. Oh, yes. It's great to have the DTM Esports 2022 back. But again, I'm not going to have a massive old outro here. You've seen what you wanted to see. You've heard what you wanted to hear. I do want to say a massive, massive thank you to all of the partners from DTM. A massive thank you to DTM for giving esports a massive platform to work with, to all of the drivers, to all of you watching at home. But a special thank you to Connery here. Connery, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you once again, and hopefully you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be back in action. Of course, we covered the shootouts here for the DTM Esports season, and to get into the main season like this with a fantastic event at Imola, I don't think we could have really asked for anything better at this stage. You know, seeing that endurance race come to a head right at the very end. I mean, it could have just been, as always in motorsports, just one more lap for Maurice Lohnen to try and get it done. He had an opportunity, unfortunately blew it, but there we go. That is just racing sometimes, and we got to look to the next round.
Absolutely. Well, Maurice Lohnen is the current DTM Esports champion from 2020. It's 2022. The same result remains. So from everybody from behind the scenes and me and Connery, we wish you a very nice evening, and we'll catch you next time when we head to the Norris Ring for the DTM Esports 2022.